Okay, Lubov Andreevna Redneskaya, Jacqueline Margolis.
Pierce, Angus Hepburn.
Elena
Mark,
Rader, Anya.
Mark Lynch, Semenov, Pushkin.
I'm Bennett Pology. I'm Leonid Andreevich Gayev.
I'm Paul Sugarman as Lopakin.
I'm Rachel Sheffrin as Dunyasha.
I'm Alexander Chilton as Trofimov.
I am
Michael Lee.
Okay. Go ahead.
You're lit up.
I'm Charlotta Ivanova, Marie-Christine Katz.
Michael E. Gardner, Yasha.
John L. Peacock, Yepi Korov.
Oh, I love your
Okay.
background.
Let's begin. Okay, where is our stage
Right.
reader?
The Cherry Orchard by Anton Chekhov. The action takes place on Madame Ranevskaya's estate. Act 1. A room which is still called the nursery. One of the doors leads into Anya's room. It's close on sunrise. It's May. The cherry trees are in flower, but it's chilly in the garden. There's an early frost. The windows of the room are shut. Dunyasha enters with a candle and Lopakin with a book in his hand.
The train's arrived, thank God. What's the time?
It will be too soon. It is light already.
How much was the train late? 2 hours at least. Ugh. I have made a rotten mess of it. I came here on purpose to meet them at the station and overslept myself in my chair. It's a pity. I wished you'd wakened me.
I thought you'd gone away. I think I hear them coming.
No, they've got to collect their luggage and so on. Lubov Andreevna has been living abroad for 5 years. I don't know what she'll be like now. She's a good sort, an easy, simple person. I remember when I was a boy of 15, my father, who is dead, he used to keep a shop in the village here, hit me in the face with his fist and my nose bled. We had gone into the yard together for something or other, and he was a little drunk. Lubov Andreevna, as I remember her now, was still young and very thin, and she took me to the washstand here in this very room, the nursery. She said, "Don't cry, little man. It'll be all right in time for your wedding." Little man. My father was a peasant, it's true, but here I am in a white waistcoat and yellow shoes. A pearl out of an oyster. I'm rich now with lots of money, but just think about it and examine me and you'll find I'm still a peasant down to the marrow of my bones. Here, I've been reading this book, but I understood nothing. I read and fell asleep.
The dogs didn't sleep all night. They know that they're coming.
What's with you, Dunyasha?
My hands are shaking. I shall faint.
You're too sensitive, Dunyasha. You dress just like a lady and you do your hair like one too. You oughtn't. You should know your place.
Epikodov enters with a bouquet. His polished boots squeak as he moves.
The gardener sent these. Say they're to go into the dining room.
And you'll bring me some kvass.
Very well.
Dunyasha exits.
There's a frost this morning, 3 degrees, and the cherry trees are all in flower. I can't approve of our climate. I can't. Our climate is indisposed to favor us even this once. And Amarlo Alexeyevich, allow me to say to you, in addition, that I brought myself some boots 2 days ago and I beg you to assure you that they squeak in perfectly unbearable manner. What shall I put on them?
Go away, you bore me.
Some misfortunes happen to me every day, but I don't complain. I'm used to it. And I could smile.
Dunyasha comes in and brings Lopakin some kvass.
I shall go.
Knocks over a chair.
There. You see, if I may use the word, what circumstance I am in, so to speak, it is even simply marvelous.
Epikhodov exits.
I may confess something to you, Amaloi Alexandrovich, that Epikhodov has proposed to me.
Ah,
I don't know what to do. He's a nice man, but every now and again, when he begins talking, you can't understand a word he's saying. I think I like him. I mean, he's madly in love with me. He's an unlucky man. Every day, something happens. I mean, we tease him about it. They call him 2 and 20 troubles.
there they come, I think.
They're coming. What's the matter with me? I'm cold all over.
Oh, there they are, right enough. Let's go and meet them. Will she know me? We haven't seen each other in 5 years.
I shall faint in a minute. I'm fainting.
2 carriages are heard driving up to the house. Lopakhin and Dunyasha exit. Old Fears, leaning on a stick, walks quietly across the room. He's just been to meet Lyubov Andreevna. He's saying something, muttering to himself. The noise from outside, behind the stage, gets louder and louder. A voice is heard. Let's go in. Enter Lyubov Andreevna, Anya, and Charlotta Ivanovna with her little dog, all dressed in traveling clothes. Old Varya crosses the room, followed by Gayev, Semyonov Pishin, Lopakhin, and Dunyasha. They're all carrying parcels and luggage.
Oh, let's come through here. Do you remember what room this is, Mother?
The nursery.
How cold it is. My hands are quite numb. Your rooms, the white one and the violet one, are just as they used to be, Mother.
My dear nursery, oh, your beautiful room. I used to sleep here when I was a baby, and here I am, like a little girl again. Oh. And Vaya is just as she used to be, just like a nun. And I knew Dunyasha.
2 hours late. There now. How's that for punctuality?
My dog eats nuts too.
Think of that now.
They all exit except Anya and Dunyasha.
We did have to wait for you.
Takes off Anya's cloak and hat.
I didn't get any sleep for 4 nights on the journey. I'm awfully cold.
You went away during Lent when it was snowing and frosty, but now, darling, we did have to wait for you. My joy, my pet. I must tell you at once, I can't bear to wait a minute.
Something else now?
The clerk, Epikhodov, proposed to me after Easter.
Always the same. I've lost all my hairpins.
I don't know what to think about it. He loves me. He loves me so much.
My room, my windows, as if I'd never gone away. I'm at home. Tomorrow morning, I'll get up and have a run in the garden. Oh, if I could only get to sleep. I didn't sleep the whole journey. I was so bothered.
Peter Sergeyevich came 2 nights ago.
Peter?
He sleeps in the bathhouse. He lives there. He said he was afraid he'd be in the way. I ought to wake him, but Barbara Mihailovna told me not to. Don't wake him, she said.
Varya enters with a bunch of keys on her belt.
Dunyasha, some coffee, quick. Mother wants some.
This minute.
Dunyasha exits.
Well, you've come. Glory be to God. Home again. My darling is back again. My pretty one is back again.
I did have an awful time, I tell you.
I can just imagine it.
I went away in Holy Week. It was very cold then. Charlotta talked the whole way and would go on performing her tricks. Why did you tie Charlotta to me?
Well, you couldn't go alone, darling, at 17.
We went to Paris. It's cold there and snowing. I talk French perfectly horribly. My mother lives on the 5th floor. I go to her and find her there with various Frenchmen, women, and old abbe with a book, and everything in tobacco smoke and with no comfort at all. I suddenly become very sorry for Mother. So sorry that I took her head in my arms and hugged her and wouldn't let her go. Then Mother started hugging me and crying.
Don't say anymore. Don't say anymore.
She's already sold her villa near Mondon. She's nothing left. Nothing. And I haven't a kopeck left either. We only just managed to get here. And Mother won't understand. We had dinner at a station. She asked for all the expensive things and tipped the waiters 1 ruble each.
Oh.
And Charlotta too. Yasha wants his share too. It's too bad. Mother's got a footman now, Yasha. We've brought him here.
I saw the wretch.
How's business? Have interest been paid?
Not much chance of that.
God. Oh, God.
The place will be sold in August.
Oh, God.
Lopakin briefly looks in at the door.
Oh, I'd like to.
Varya, has he proposed to you? But he loves you. Why don't you make up your minds? Why do you keep on waiting?
I think that it will all come to nothing. He's a busy man. I'm not his affair. He pays no attention to me. Bless the man, I don't want to see him. But everybody talks about our marriage. Everybody congratulates me. But there's nothing to it at all. It's like a dream. You've got a brooch like a bee.
Mother bought it. In Paris, I went up in a balloon.
Dunyasha enters and makes coffee. Anya stands by the door.
Pretty ones come back. I go about all day looking after the house, and I think all the time, if only you could marry a rich man, then I'd be happy. And would go away somewhere by myself, then to Kiev, to Moscow, and so on, from one holy place to another. I tramp and tramp. That would be splendid.
Birds are singing in the garden. What time is it now?
It must be going on for 3. Time you went to bed, darling, to sleep.
She exits.
Splendid.
Yasha enters with a plaid shawl and a traveling bag.
May I go this way?
You're muted.
I hardly knew you, Yasha. You have changed abroad.
Who are you?
When you went away, I was only so high. I'm Dunyasha, the daughter of Fyodor Kozyovdov. You don't remember?
Oh, you little cucumber.
He looks around and embraces her. Then Yasha screams and drops a saucer. Yasha exits quickly.
What's that?
I've broken a saucer.
Oh, it may bring luck.
We must tell Mother that Peter's here.
I told them not to wake him.
Father died 6 years ago. And a month later, my brother Grisha was drowned in the river. Such a dear little boy of 7. Mother couldn't bear it. She went away without looking round. How I understand her. If only she knew. And Peter Tromofov was Grisha's tutor. He might tell her.
Fears enters. The mistress is going to have some food here. Is the coffee ready? You? Where's the cream?
Oh, dear me.
Oh, you bungler. Back from Paris. The master went to Paris once in a carriage.
What are you talking about, Fierce?
Oh, I beg your pardon. The mistress is home again. I've lived to see her. I don't care if I die now. Lubov, Andreevna, Geev, Lopakin, and Simeony Pishin enter.
Oh, let me remember now. Red into the corner, twice into the center.
Right into the pocket. You know, once upon a time, you and I both used to sleep in this room. Now I'm 51. It does seem strange.
Yes, time does go.
Who does?
I said that time does go.
Oh, it smells of patchouli in here.
I'm going to bed. Good night, Mother.
Oh, good night, my little lovely one. I'm glad to be home. I can't get over it.
Good night, Uncle.
God be with you. How you do resemble your mother. You were just like her at her age, Luba.
Anya exits.
She's awfully tired.
Lupakin and Pishin and goes out, shutting the door behind her.
So tired.
It's a very long journey.
Well, sirs, it's getting on for 3. Quite time you went.
Oh, you're just the same as everybody. Oh, I'll have some coffee now, and then we'll go.
Fears lays a cushion under her feet.
Thank you, dear. I'm used to coffee. I drink it day and night. Oh, thank you, dear old man.
I'll go see if they brought in all the luggage.
Varya exits.
Is it really I who am sitting here? I want to jump about and wave my arms. Oh, but suppose I'm dreaming. God knows I love my own country. I love it deeply. I couldn't look out of the railway carriage I loved so much. I cried so much. Still, I must have my coffee. Oh, thank you, Ferris. Thank you, dear old man. I'm so glad you're still with us.
The day before yesterday.
He doesn't hear well.
I've got to go off to Kharkov by the 5 o'clock train. I'm awfully sorry. I should like to have a look at you, to gossip a little. You're as fine looking as ever.
Even finer looking. Dressed in Paris fashions. Confound it all.
Your brother, Leonid Andreevich, says I'm a snob, a usurer, but that is absolutely nothing to me. Let him talk. Only I do wish you would believe in me as you once did, and that your wonderful, touching eyes would look at me as they did before. Merciful God, my father was the serf of your grandfather and your own father, but you, more than anybody else, did so much for me once upon a time that I've forgotten everything and love you as if you belonged to my family. And even more.
I can't sit still. I'm not in a state to do it. Oh, I'll never survive this happiness. You can laugh at me. I'm a silly woman. Oh, my dear cupboard. My little table.
Nurse has died in your absence.
Oh, yes, bless her soul. I heard by letter.
Anastasius has died too. Peter Kosoy has left me, now lives in town with the commissioner of the police.
He takes a box of sugar candy out of his pocket and sucks a piece.
You're muted.
All right. My daughter Dashinka sends her love.
I want to say something very pleasant, very delightful to you. I'm going away at once. I haven't much time, but I'll tell you all about it in 2 or 3 words. As you already know, your cherry orchard is to be sold to pay your debts. And the sale is fixed for August 22nd. But you needn't be alarmed, dear madam. You may sleep in peace. There's a way out. Here's my plan. Please attend carefully. Your estate is only 13 miles from the town. The railway runs by, and if the cherry orchard and the land by the river are broken up into building lots and are then leased off for villas, you could get at least 25,000 rubles a year profit out of it.
How utterly absurd.
I don't understand you at all, Molay Alexeyevich.
You will get 25 rubles a year for each dissation from the leaseholders at the very least. And if you advertise now, I'm willing to bet you that you won't have a vacant plot left by the autumn. They'll all go. In a word, you're saved. I congratulate you. Only, of course, you'll have to put things straight and clean up. For instance, you'll have to pull down all the old buildings. This house, which isn't any use to anybody now, and cut down the old cherry orchard.
Cut it down, my dear man. You must excuse me, but you don't understand anything at all. If there's anything interesting or remarkable in the whole province, it's this cherry orchard of ours.
The only remarkable thing about the orchard is that it's very large. It only bears fruit every other year, and even then, you don't know what to do with them. Nobody buys any.
This orchard is mentioned in the encyclopedic dictionary.
If we can't think of anything and don't make up our minds to anything, then on August 22nd, both the cherry orchard and the whole estate will be up for auction. Make up your mind. I swear there's no other way out. I'll swear it again.
In the old days, 40 or 50 years back, they dried the cherries, soaked them and pickled them and made jam of them. And it used to happen.
Quiet, Piers, quiet.
And then we'd send the dried cherries off in carts to Moscow and Kharkov. And money.
Well, what was the way?
They've forgotten. Nobody remembers.
What about Paris, huh? Did you eat frogs?
I ate crocodiles.
Think of that.
Up to now, in the village, there were only the gentry and the laborers, and now the people who live in the villas have arrived. All towns now, even small ones, are surrounded by villas. And it's safe to say that in 20 years' time, the villa resident will be all over the place. At present, he sits on his balcony and drinks tea, but it may well come to pass that he'll begin to cultivate his patch of land, and then your cherry orchard will be happy, rich, splendid.
Varya and Yasha enter.
There are 2 telegrams for you, little mother. Here they are.
They're from Paris. I'm done with Paris.
And do you know, Luba, how old this case is? A week ago, I took out the bottom drawer. I looked. I saw figures burnt out in it. The case was made exactly 100 years ago. What do you think of that? What? We could celebrate its jubilee. It hasn't had a soul of its own, but still, say what you will, it is a fine bookcase.
100 years. Think of that.
Yes, it's the real thing. My dear and honored case, I congratulate you on your existence, which has already for more than 100 years been directed towards the bright ideals of good and justice. Your silent call to productive labor has not grown less in the 100 years, during which you have upheld virtue and faith in a better future to the generations of our race, educating us up to ideals of goodness and to the knowledge of a common consciousness.
You're just the same as ever, Leon.
You know, I'll throw white on the right into the corner pocket. Red gold goes into the middle pocket.
Time I went.
Will you take your pills now?
You oughtn't to take medicines, dear madam. They do you neither harm nor good. Give them here, dear madam.
Takes the pills, puts them into his mouth, and drinks some kvass.
There.
You're off your head.
I've taken all the pills.
Gormandizer.
They were here in Easter week and ate half a pailful of cucumbers.
Is he driving at?
He's been mumbling away for 3 years. We're used to that.
Senile decay.
Charlotta Ivanova enters and crosses the room.
Excuse me, Carlotta Ivanova. I haven't said how do you do to you yet.
If you let people kiss your hand, then they will want your elbow, then your shoulder, and then...
Well, my luck's out today. Show us a trick, Carlotta Ivanova.
Carlotta, do us a trick.
It's not necessary. I want to go to bed.
Carlotta exits.
We shall see each other in 3 weeks. Now, goodbye. It's time to go. See you again. Au revoir. If you think about the villas and make up your mind, then just let me know, and I'll raise a loan of 50,000 rubles at once. Think about it. Seriously.
Do go now.
I'm going. I'm going.
Lopakhin exits.
Snob! Still, I beg pardon. Varya's going to marry him. He's Varya's young man.
Don't talk too much, Uncle.
Oh, I'm not Varya. I should be very glad. He's a good man.
To speak the honest truth, he's a worthy man. And my Dashenka also says that. She says a lot of things. But still, dear madam, if you could lend me 240 rubles to pay the interest on my mortgage tomorrow, then I can probably keep...
We haven't got it. We haven't got it.
It's quite true. I've nothing at all.
I'll find it all right. I never lose hope. I used to think everything is lost now. I'm a dead man. When lo and behold, a railway was built over my land and they paid me for it. And something else will happen today or tomorrow. Dashenka may win 20,000 rubles. She's got a lottery ticket.
The coffee's all gone. We can go to bed.
Oh, you've put on the wrong trousers again, Master Gaev. What am I to do with you?
Anya's asleep. The sun has risen already. It isn't cold. Look, little mother, what lovely trees. And the air. The starlings are singing.
The whole garden's gone white. You haven't forgotten, Lumba. There's that long avenue going straight like a stretched strap. It shines on moonlit nights. You remember? You haven't forgotten.
Oh, my childhood days of my innocence. In this nursery, I used to sleep. I used to look out from here into the orchard. Happiness used to wake with me every morning. And then it was just as it is now. Nothing has changed. It's all white. Oh, my orchard. After the dark autumns and the cold winters, you're young again, full of happiness. The angels of heaven haven't left you. Only I could take my heavy burden off my breast and shoulders. If I could forget my past.
Yes, and they'll sell this orchard to pay off debts. Strange, it seems.
Oh, look, there's my dead mother going in the orchard, dressed in white. Oh, that's she.
Where?
God bless you, little mother.
Oh, there's nobody there. I thought I saw somebody on the right at the turning by the summer house. A little white tree bent down, looking just like a woman.
Trofimov enters.
What a marvelous garden. White masses of flowers, the blue sky.
Lyubov Andreevna! I only wanted to show myself and I'll go away. I was told to wait till the morning, but I didn't have the patience.
It's Peter Trofimov.
Peter Trofimov, once the tutor of your Grisha. Have I changed so much?
That's enough, Luba.
But I told you, Peter, to wait till tomorrow.
Grisha, my boy, Grisha. My son!
Now, what are we to do, little mother? It's the will of God.
It's all right. It's all right.
My boy's dead. He was drowned. My friend. Anya's asleep. I'm speaking so loudly, making such a noise. Oh, Peter, what's made you look so bad? Why are you growing so old?
In the train, a woman called me a decayed gentleman.
You were quite a boy then, a nice little student. Now your hair is not all thick and you wear spectacles. Are you really still a student?
I suppose I shall always be a student.
Well, go to bed. And you've grown older, Leonid.
Yes, we've got to go to bed. Oh, my God. I'll stay the night here. If only Lubov Onyaneyev, my dear, you could get me 240 rubles tomorrow morning. Then I could
Story.
240 rubles to pay the interest on the mortgage.
I haven't any money, dear man.
I'll give it back. It's a small sum.
Oh, well, then, Leonid, we'll give it to you. Let him have it, Leonid.
By all means, hold out your hand.
Why not? He wants it. He'll give it back.
Lyubov Andreevna, Trifimov, Pishin, and Fiers exit, leaving Gayev, Varya, and Yasha.
My sister has not lost the habit of throwing money about. Stand off, do, huh? You smell of poultry.
Yeah, just the same as ever, Leonid Andreevich.
Really? What's he saying?
Your mother's come from the village. She's been sitting in the servants' room since yesterday and wants to see you.
Oh,
Shameless man.
a lot of use there is in her coming. She might have come tomorrow just as well.
Yasha exits.
Mother hasn't altered a scrap. She's just as she always was. She'd give away everything if the idea only entered her head.
Yes, if there's any illness for which people offer many remedies, you may be sure that particular illness is incurable, I think. I work my brains to their hardest. I've several remedies, very many, and that really means I've none at all. Huh? It would be nice to inherit a fortune from somebody. It would be nice to marry our Anya to a rich man. It would be nice to go to Yaroslav and try my luck with my aunt, the Countess. My aunt is very, very rich.
If only God helped us.
Don't cry. My aunt's very rich, but she doesn't like us. My sister, in the first place, married an advocate, not a noble.
Anya appears in the doorway.
She not only married a man who was not a noble, but she behaved herself in a way which cannot be described as proper. She's kind and nice and charming, and I'm very fond of her. And say what you will in her favor, and you still have to admit that she's wicked. I mean, you can feel it in her slightest movements.
Anya's in the doorway.
Really? It's curious. Something got into my right eye. I can't properly see out of it. And Thursdays, when I was at the district court...
Anya enters.
Why aren't you in bed, Anya?
Can't sleep. It's no good.
My darling, my child. You're not my niece. You're my all. Believe in me. Believe.
I do believe in you, Uncle. Everybody loves you and respects you. But Uncle dear, you ought to say nothing, no more than that. What were you saying just now about Mother, your own sister? Why did you say those things?
Yes. Yes, really, it was awful. Save me, my God. I only just now made a speech before a bookcase. It's so silly. Only when I finished, I knew how silly it was.
Yes, Uncle dear, you really ought to say less. Be quiet, that's all.
You'd be so much happier in yourself if you only kept quiet.
All right. I'll be quiet. But let's talk business. On Thursday, I was in the district court, and a lot of us met there, and we began to talk of this, that, and the other. Now, I think I can arrange a loan to pay the interest on the bank into the bank.
If only God would help us.
I'll go on Tuesday. I'll talk with them about it again. Don't howl. Your mother will have a talk to Lopakin, and he, of course, won't refuse. And when you've rested, you'll go to Yaroslav, to the Countess, your grandmother. So you see, we'll have 3 irons in the fire. We'll be safe. We'll pay up the interest, I'm certain. I swear, on my honor, on anything you will, that this estate will not be sold. I swear on my happiness. Here's my hand. You may call me a dishonorable wretch if I let it go to auction. I swear by all I am.
How good and clever you are, Uncle. I'm happy now. I'm happy. All's well.
Fiers enters. Leonid Andreevich, don't you fear God? When are you going to bed?
Soon. Go away, Fiers. I'll undress myself. Well, children, Bye-bye. I'll give you the details tomorrow, but let's go to bed now. I am a man of the 80s. People don't praise those years much, but I can still say that I've suffered for my beliefs. The peasants don't love me for nothing, I assure you. We've got to learn to know the peasants. We ought to learn how.
You're doing it again, Uncle.
Be quiet, Uncle.
Here, Ned and David.
I'm coming. Go to bed now. Off 2 cushions into the middle. I'll turn over a new leaf.
Gale exits, followed by Fierce.
I'm quieter now. I don't want to go to Yaroslav. I don't like grandmother. But I'm calm now. Thanks to Uncle.
It's time to go to sleep. I'll go. There's been an unpleasantness here while you were away in the old servants' part of the house. As you know, only the old people live. Little old Efim and Polya and Evstigny and Karp as well. They started letting some tramps or other spend the night there. I said nothing. And then I heard they were saying that I ordered them to be fed on peas and nothing else from meanness, you see? And it was all Evstigny's doing. Very well, I thought. If that's what the matter is, you just wait. So I call Evstigny. He comes. What's this? I say, Evstigny, you old fool. Anya, dear. She's dropped off. Let's go to bye-bye. Come along. My darling's gone to sleep.
Varya and Anya exit. In the distance, on the other side of the orchard, a shepherd plays his pipe. Trofimov crosses the stage and stops on seeing Varya and Anya.
She's asleep. Sleep. Come on, dear.
I'm so tired. All the bells. Uncle, dear. Mother and Uncle.
Come on, dear. Come on.
They exit.
My son. My spring.
End of Act 1. Act 2. A field, an abandoned shrine, old tombstones and an old garden seat. The road to Gaev's estate can be seen. Behind a stand of dark poplars is the cherry orchard. On the horizon, indications of a large town. It's close to sunset. Carlotta, Yasha and Dunyasha are sitting on the seat. Epikhodov stands by and plays on a guitar. Carlotta is working on the buckle of her rifle strap.
I haven't a real passport. I don't know how old I am. And I think I am young. When I was a little girl, my father and mother used to go round fairs and give very good performances. And I used to do the salto mortale and various little things. And when Papa and Mama died, a German lady took me to her and began to teach me. I liked it. I grew up and became a governess. And where I came from and who I am, I don't know. Who my parents were, perhaps they weren't married. I don't know.
Takes a cucumber out of her pocket and eats.
I don't know anything. I don't want to talk. I haven't anybody to talk to. I haven't anybody at all.
What is this noisy world to me? Matters friends and foes. I do like playing on the mandolin.
That's a guitar, not a mandolin.
Well, for the enamored madman, this is a mandolin. Oh, that the heart was warmed by all the flames returned.
These people sing terribly. Phew, like jackals.
Still, it must be nice to live abroad.
Yes, certainly. I cannot differ from you there.
This is perfectly natural. Abroad everything is full of complexity.
That goes without saying.
I'm an educated man. I read various remarkable books, but I cannot understand the direction I myself want to go, whether to live or to shoot myself, as it were. So in a case, I always carry about a revolver here with me. Here it is.
I have done. Now I'll go. You, Epicotov, are a very clever man and very terrible. Women must be madly in love with you. These wise ones are also stupid. I have nobody to talk to. I'm always alone. Alone. I have nobody at all. And I don't know who I am and why I live.
She exits slowly.
As a matter of fact, independently of everything else, I must express my feeling, among other things, that fate has been as pitiless in her dealings with me as a storm is to a small ship. Suppose, let us grant, that I am wrong. Then why did I wake up this morning, to give example, and behold an enormous spider on my chest, like that? Oh, and if I do drink some kvass, why it is there that bound to be something in the most indelicate nature in it, such as a beetle. Have you read the Buckle? I should like to trouble you. Advotia Fedorovna, for 2 words.
Stay on.
I should prefer to be alone with you.
Very well. Only first bring me my little cloak. It's by the cupboard. It's a little damp here.
Oh, very well. I'll bring it. Now I know what to do with my revolver.
Epicotov exits, strumming his guitar.
2 and 20 troubles. A silly man between you and me and the gatepost.
I hope to goodness he won't shoot himself.
Ugh.
I'm so nervous. I'm worried. I went into service when I was quite a little girl, and now I'm not used to common life, and my hands are white as a lady's. I'm so tender and so delicate now, respectable and afraid of everything. I'm so frightened. And I don't know what will happen to my nerves if you deceive me, Yasha.
Little cucumber. Of course, every girl must respect herself. There's nothing I dislike more than a badly behaved girl.
I'm awfully in love with you. You're educated. You can talk about everything.
Yes, I think this. If a girl loves anybody, then that means she's immoral. So nice to smoke a cigar out in the open air. Somebody's coming. It's the mistress and people with her. Go to the house as if you've been bathing in the river. Go by this path. They'll meet you and they'll think I've been meeting with you. I can't stand that sort of thing.
My head's aching because of your cigar.
Dunyasha exits, leaving Yasha sitting by the shrine. Lubov, Andreevna, Gaev, and Lopakin enter.
You must make up your mind definitely. There's no time to waste. The question is perfectly plain. Are you willing to let the land for villas or no? Just one word, yes or no, just one word.
Oh, who's smoking hard cigars here?
So they built that railway. That made this place very handy. Went to town, had lunch. Red in the middle. You know, I'd like to go and have a game just now. One game.
You'll have time.
Just one word. Give me an answer.
Really?
I had a lot of money yesterday, but there's very little today. My poor Varya feeds everybody on milk soup to save money. In the kitchen, the old people don't get peas, and I spend recklessly. Oh,
she drops the purse
they are all over the
scattering
place.
Permit me to pick them up.
Oh, please do, Yasha. And why did I go and have lunch there? A horrid restaurant with band and tablecloths smelling of soap. Why do you drink so much, Leon? Why do you eat so much? Why do you talk so much? You talked again too much today in the restaurants, and it wasn't at all to the point about the 70s and about decadence. And to who? Talking to the waiters about decadence.
Yes.
Can't be cured, that's obvious. What's the matter? Why do you keep twisting about in front of me?
I can't listen to your voice without laughing.
Either he or I.
Oh, go away, Yasha. Get out of this.
I'll go at once, this minute.
That rich man, Daraganov, is preparing to buy your estate. He says he'll come to the sale himself.
Where did you hear that?
They say so in town.
Our Yaroslav aunt has promised to send something, but I don't know when or how much.
How much will she send? 100,000 rubles? Or 2, perhaps?
I'll be glad 10 or 15,000.
You must excuse my saying so, but I've never met such frivolous people as you before, or anybody so unbusinesslike and peculiar. Here I am, telling you in plain language that your estate will be sold, and you don't seem to understand.
What are we to do? Tell us what?
Tell you every day. I say the same thing every day. Both the cherry orchard and the land must be leased off for villas, and at once, immediately, the auction's staring you in the face. Understand, once you definitely make up your mind to the villas, then you'll have as much money as you want, and you'll be saved.
Villas and villa residence is so vulgar, excuse me.
I entirely agree with you.
I must cry or yell or faint. I can't stand it. You're too much for me. You old woman, Gaev.
Really?
Oh,
old woman.
Oh, don't
he
go.
makes to leave.
Stop. Be a dear, please. Perhaps we'll find some way out.
What's the good of trying to think?
Oh, please don't go away. It's nicer when you're here. I keep on waiting for something to happen, as if the house is going to collapse over our heads.
Double in the corner, across the middle.
I've been too sinful.
What sins have you committed?
You know, they say I've eaten all my substance in sugar candies.
Oh, my sins. I've always scattered money about without holding myself in like a mad woman. And I married a man who made nothing but debts. My husband died of champagne. He drank terribly. To my misfortune, I fell in love with another man and went off with him. And just at that time, it was my first real punishment. A blow that hit me right on the head here in the river. My boy was drowned. And I went away, quite away, never to return, never to see this river again. I shut my eyes and I ran without thinking, but he ran after me, without pity, without respect. I brought a villa in Mentone because he fell ill there. And for 3 years I knew no rest either by day or night. The sick man wore me out, and my soul dried up. And last year, when they had sold the villa to pay my debts, I went away to Paris. And there he robbed me of all I had. He threw me over and went off with another woman. I tried to poison myself. It was so silly, so shameful. And suddenly I longed to be back in Russia, my own land, with my little girl. Oh, Lord, be merciful to me. Forgive me my sins. Punish me no longer. I had this today from Paris. He begs my forgiveness. He implores me to return. Oh, I can't do anymore. Didn't I hear music?
That's our celebrated Jewish band. You remember? 4 violins, flute, double bass.
Oh, so it still exists. It would be nice if they came along some evening.
I can't hear. For money, will the Germans make a Frenchman of a Russian? I saw such an awfully funny thing at the theater last night.
I'm quite sure there wasn't anything at all funny. You oughtn't to go and see plays. You ought to go and look at yourself. What a great life you lead. What a lot of you talk unnecessarily.
It's true. To speak the straight truth, we live a silly life. My father was a peasant, an idiot. He understood nothing. He didn't teach me. He was always drunk and he always used a stick on me. In point of fact, I'm a fool and an idiot too. I never learned anything. My handwriting is bad. I write so that I'm quite ashamed before people, like a pig.
You ought to get married, my friend.
Yes, that's true.
Why not to Aria? She's a nice girl.
Yes.
She's quite homely in her ways, works all day, and what matters most, she's in love with you. And you've liked her for a long time.
Well, I don't mind. She's a nice girl.
I'm offered a place in the bank. 6,000 rubles a year. You hear?
What's the matter with you? Stay where you are. Stay where you are.
Piers enters with an overcoat. Please, sir, Gaia, put this on. It's damp.
You know, you're a nuisance, old man.
Well, it's all very well. You went away this morning without telling me.
How old you've grown, Piers.
I beg your pardon?
She says you've grown very old.
Oh, I've been alive a long time. They were already getting ready to marry me before your father was born. And when the emancipation came, I was already first valet. Only I didn't agree with the emancipation and remained with my people. I remember everyone was happy, but they didn't know why.
That was very good for them in the old days. At any rate, they used to beat them.
Oh, rather. The peasants kept their distance from the masters, and the masters kept their distance from the peasants. But now everything's all anyhow, and you can't understand anything.
Hey, Piers, I've got to go to town tomorrow. I've been promised an introduction to a general who may lend me money on a bill.
Nothing will come of it, and you won't pay your interest. Don't you worry.
He's talking rubbish. There's no general.
Here they are.
Trofimov, Anya, and Varya enter.
Mother's sitting down here.
Oh, come, my dears. Oh, if you two only knew how much I love you. Sit down next to me, like that.
Our eternal student is always with the ladies.
That's none of your business.
He'll soon be 50 and he's still a student.
Leave off your silly jokes.
Getting angry, eh, silly?
Shut up, can't you?
I wonder what you think of me.
I think, Ermolai Alexeyevich, that you're a rich man and you'll soon be a millionaire. Just as the wild beast which eats everything that it finds is needed for changes to take place in matter, so you are needed too.
Better tell us something about the planets, Peter.
No, let's go on with yesterday's talk.
About what?
About the proud man.
Yesterday we talked for a long time, but we didn't come to anything in the end. There's something mystical about the proud man in your sense. Perhaps you are right from your point of view, but if you take the matter simply without complicating it, then what pride can there be? What sense can there be in it if a man is imperfectly made, physiologically speaking, if in the vast majority of cases he is coarse and stupid and deeply unhappy? We must stop admiring one another. We must work, nothing more.
You'll die all the same.
Who knows? And what does it mean? You'll die? Perhaps a man has 100 senses, and when he dies, only the 5 known to us are destroyed, and the remaining 95 are left alive.
Clever of you, Peter.
Oh, awfully.
The human race progresses, perfecting its powers. Everything that is unattainable now will someday be near at hand and comprehensible. But we must work. We must help with all our strength those who seek to know what fate will bring. Meanwhile, in Russia, only a very few of us work. The vast majority of those intellectuals whom I know seek for nothing, do nothing, and are at present incapable of hard work. They call themselves intellectuals, but they use thou and thee to their servants. They treat the peasants like animals. They learn badly. They read nothing seriously. They do absolutely nothing. About science, they only talk. About art, they understand little. They're all serious. They all have severe faces. They all talk about important things. They philosophize. And at the same time, the vast majority of us, 99 out of 100, live like savages, fighting and cursing at the slightest opportunity, eating filthily, sleeping in the dirt and stuffiness with fleas, stinks, moral filth, and so on. And it's obvious that all our nice talk is only carried on to distract ourselves and others. Tell me, where are those creches we hear so much of? And where are those reading rooms? People only write novels about them. They don't really exist. Only dirt, vulgarity, and Asiatic plagues really exist. I'm afraid, and I don't at all like serious conversations. I don't like serious faces. Let's be quiet sooner.
You know, I get up at 5 every morning. I work from morning till evening. I'm always dealing with money, my own and other people's. And I see what people are like. You've only got to begin to do anything to find out how few honest, honorable people there are. Sometimes when I can't sleep, I think, oh Lord, you've given us huge forests, infinite fields, and endless horizons, and we living here ought really to be giants.
You want giants, do you? They're only good in stories, and even then, there they frighten one.
Epikhodov enters playing his guitar.
Epikhodov's here.
The sun has set, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
O nature, thou art wonderful. Thou shinest with eternal radiance. O beautiful and indifferent one, thou whom we call mother. Thou containest in thyself existence and death. Thou livest and destroyeth.
Uncle dear.
Uncle, you're doing it again.
You'd better double the red into the middle.
I'll be quiet. I'll be quiet. I'll be quiet.
They all sit thoughtfully. It's quiet. Suddenly a distant sound is heard as if from the sky, the sound of a breaking string, which dies away sadly.
Oh, what's that?
I don't know. It may be a bucket fallen down a well somewhere, but it's some way off.
Or perhaps some bird, or like a heron.
Or an owl.
It's unpleasant somehow.
Before the misfortune, the same thing happened. An owl screamed and the samovar hummed without stopping.
Before what misfortune?
Before the emancipation.
You know, my friends, let's go in. It's evening now. Tears in your eyes. What is it, little girl?
Nothing, Mother.
Someone's coming.
A tramp enters. He's a little drunk. Excuse me, may I go this way straight through to the station?
You may. Just go along that path.
Oh, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Lovely weather. My brother, my suffering brother, come out on the Volga, you who groans. Mademoiselle, please give a hungry Russian 30 kopecks.
There's manners everybody's got to keep.
Oh, take this. Here you are. Oh, that's, well, there's no silver. Oh, it doesn't matter. Here's gold.
Oh, I am deeply grateful to you. He exits.
I'm going. Oh, little mother, at home there's nothing for the servants to eat, and you gave him gold.
What's to be done with such a fool as I am? At home, I'll give you everything I've got. And Milo Alexeyevich, lend me some more?
Very well.
Let's go, it's time. And Zara, we've settled your affair. I congratulate you.
You shouldn't joke about that, Mother.
Oh, feel me. Get thee to a nunnery.
My hands are trembling. I haven't played billiards for a long time.
Oh, feel me, nymph. Remember me in thy orisons.
Oh, come along. It'll soon be supper time.
Frighten me. My heart is beating hard.
Let me remind you, ladies and gentlemen, on August 22nd, the cherry orchard will be sold. Think of that. Think of that.
They all exit except Trimanov and Anya.
Thanks to that tramp who frightened Barbara, we're alone now.
Varya's afraid we may fall in love with each other and won't get away from us for days on end. Her narrow mind won't allow her to understand that we are above love, to escape all the petty and deceptive things which prevent our being happy and free. That is the aim and meaning of our lives. Forward! We go irresistibly onto that bright star which shines, burns there in the distance. Don't lag behind, friends!
How beautifully you talk. It's glorious here today.
Yes. Oh, the weather's wonderful.
What have you done to me, Peter? I don't love the cherry orchard as I used to. I loved it so tenderly. I thought there was no better place in the world than the cherry orchard.
All Russia is our orchard. The land is great and beautiful. There are many marvelous places in it. Think, Anya, your grandfather, your great-grandfather, and all your ancestors were serf owners. They owned living souls. And now doesn't something human look at you from every cherry in the orchard, every leaf and every stalk? Don't you hear voices? Oh, it's awful. Your orchard is terrible. And when in the evening or at night you walk through the orchard, then the old bark on the trees sheds a dim light, and the old cherry trees seem to be dreaming of all that was 100, 200 years ago and are oppressed by their heavy visions. Still, at any rate, we've left those 200 years behind us. So far, we've gained nothing at all. We don't yet know what the past is to be to us. We only philosophize. We complain that we are dull, or we drink vodka. For it is so clear that in order to begin to live in the present, we must first redeem the past. And that can only be done by suffering, by strenuous, uninterrupted labor. Understand that, Anya.
The house in which we live has long ceased to be our house. I shall go away. I give you my word.
If you have the housekeeping keys, throw them down the well and go away. Be as free as the wind.
How nicely you said that.
Believe me, Anya, believe me. I'm not 30 yet. I'm young. I'm still a student, but I have undergone a great deal. I'm as hungry as the winter. I'm ill. I'm shaken. I'm as poor as a beggar, and where I haven't been, fate has tossed me everywhere. But my soul is always my own. Every minute of the day and the night is filled with unspeakable presentiments. I know that happiness is coming. Anya, I can see it already.
Moon is rising.
Erikodov is heard playing the same sad song on his guitar as the moon rises. Somewhere by the poplars, Varya is looking for Anya and calling.
Anya, where are you?
Yeah. The moon has risen. There is happiness. There, it comes. It comes nearer and nearer. I hear its steps already. And if we do not see it, we shall not know it. But what does that matter? Others will see it.
Anya, where are you?
That's Varya again. Disgraceful.
Never mind. Let's go to the river. It's nice there.
Let's go.
They exit out.
Anya! Anya!
End of Act 2. Act 3. A reception room off the drawing room. In the next room, a band, the Jewish band mentioned earlier, is playing and couples are dancing. Pishin with Carlotta Ivanovna, Trofimov with Lubov Andreevna, Anya and a post office clerk, Varya with the station master. Pishin and Trofimov enter.
I'm full-blooded, and I have already had 2 strokes. It's hard for me to dance, but as they say, if you're in Rome, you must do as Rome does. I've got the strength of a horse. Dead father, who liked a joke, piece to his bone, used to say, talking of our ancestors, that the ancient stock, Simonov Tishkin, was descended from that identical horse that Caligula made a senator. Trouble is, I've no money. A hungry dog only believes in meat. So I only believe in money.
Yes. There is something equine about your figure.
Well, a horse is a fine animal. You can sell a horse.
Billiard playing can be heard in the next room. Varya appears under the arch.
Madame Lopakin! Madame Lopakin!
DK, gentlemen.
Yes, I am a decayed gentleman and I'm proud of it.
You've hired the musicians, but how are they to be paid?
Varya exits.
If the energy which you, in the course of your life, have spent in looking for money to pay interest had been used for something else, then I believe, after all, you'd be able to turn everything upside down.
Nietzsche, a philosopher, a very great, a most celebrated man, a man of enormous brain, says in his books that you can forge banknotes.
And have you read Nietzsche?
Well, Shinka told me.
Oh.
Now I'm in such a position I wouldn't mind forging. I've got to pay 310 rubles the day after tomorrow. I've got 130 already. I lost the money. The money's gone. Where's the money? Here it is, behind the lining. I even began to perspire.
Lubov Andreevna and Carlotta Ivanovna enter.
Why has Leonid away so long? What's he doing in town? Danyasha, give the musicians some tea.
Business is off, I suppose.
And the musicians needn't have come, and we needn't have got to this ball. Never mind.
It's a pack of cards. Think of any card you like.
I thought of one.
Now, shuffle. All right, now, give them here. Oh, my dear Mr. Pishin. 1, 2, 3. Now, look, and you'll find in your coat tail pocket.
8 of spades. Quite right. Think of that now.
He holds the pack of cards on the palm of her hand.
Now, tell me quickly, what's the top card?
Well, the Queen of Spades.
Right. Well, now, what card's on top?
Ace of Hearts.
Right. How lovely the weather is today. Oh, yes, it's lovely weather, madame. You are so beautiful. You are my idol. You, madam, please me very much so.
Madam Ventriloquist, bravo!
Think of that now. Delightful, Carlotta Ivanova. I'm simply in love.
In love? Can you love? Guter Mensch, aber schlechter Musikant.
Oh, you horse.
Attention, please. Here is another trick.
And she takes a shawl from a chair.
Here is a very nice plaid shawl, and I am going to sell it. Won't anybody buy it?
Oh, think of that now.
1, 2, 3.
She lifts the shawl to reveal Anya, who bows, hugs her mother, and exits.
Bravo, bravo.
Once again, 1, 2, 3.
She lifts the shawl again to reveal Varya standing behind
Bravo,
it.
bravo.
Think of that now.
The end.
Carlotta throws the shawl at Pishin, curtsies, and exits.
Little wretch, what? Would you?
Pishin
Yeah,
exits.
Hasn't come back yet. I don't understand what he's doing so long in town. Everything must be over by now. The estate must be sold, or if the sale never came off, then why does he stay so long?
Uncle has bought it. I'm certain of it.
Oh, yes.
Grandmother sent him her authority for him to buy it in her name and transfer the debt to her. She's doing it for Anya, and I'm certain that God will help us and Uncle will buy it.
Grandmother sent 15,000 rubles from Yaroslav to buy the property in her name. She won't trust us. And that wasn't even enough to pay the interest. Oh, my fate will be settled today. My fate.
Madame Lopakin.
Oh.
Eternal student, he's already been expelled twice from the university.
Why are you getting so angry, Vera? He's teasing you about Lopatkin. Well, what of it? You can marry Lopatkin if you want to. He's a good, interesting man. You needn't if you don't want to. Nobody wants to force you against your will, my darling.
I do look at the matter seriously, little mother, to be quite frank. He's a good man, and I like him too.
Oh, you'll marry him. I don't understand what you're waiting for.
Well, I can't propose to him myself, little mother. People have been talking about him to me for 2 years now, but he either says nothing or jokes about it. I understand. He's getting rich. He's busy. He can't bother about me. If I had some money, even a little, even only 100 rubles, I'd throw up everything and go away. I'd go into a convent.
Oh.
How nice.
A student ought to have sense. How ugly you are now, Peter. How old you've grown. But I can't go on without working, little mother. I want to be doing something every minute.
Yasha enters briefly.
Epikhodov's broken the billiard cue.
Why is Epikhodov here? Who said he could play billiards? I don't understand these people.
Varya exits.
Don't tease her, Peter. You see that she's quite unhappy with what's going on.
She takes too much in herself. She keeps on interfering in other people's business. The whole summer she's given no peace to me or Anya. She's afraid we'll have a romance all to ourselves. What has that to do with her? As if I'd ever given her grounds to believe I'd stoop to such vulgarity. We are above love.
Then I suppose I must be beneath love. Why isn't Leonid here? If I only knew whether the estate is sold or not. The disaster seems to me so improbable that I don't know what to think. I'm all at sea. I may scream or do something silly. Oh, save me. Say something, say something.
Isn't it all the same whether the estate is sold today or isn't? It's been all up with it for a long time. There's no turning back. The path's grown over. Be calm, dear. You shouldn't deceive yourself for once in your life. At any rate, you must look the truth straight in the face.
What truth? You see where truth is and where untruth is, but I seem to have lost my sight and see nothing. You boldly said all important questions. Tell me, dear, isn't it because you're young? Because you haven't had time to suffer till you settled a single one of your questions? You boldly look forward. Isn't it because you cannot foresee or expect anything terrible? Because so far life has been hidden from your young eyes. You are bolder, more honest, deeper than we are. But think only, be just a little magnanimous and have mercy on me. I was born here. My father and mother lived here. My grandfather too. I love this house. I couldn't understand my life without that cherry orchard. It really must be so. Sell me with it.
She embraces Trofimov.
Have pity on me, good, kind man.
You know, I sympathize with all my soul.
Oh, yes, but it ought to be said differently.
She takes out a handkerchief and in doing so pulls a telegram out, which falls on the floor.
Oh, I'm so sick at heart today, you can't imagine. Here it's so noisy, my soul shakes at every sound. I shake all over and I can't go away by myself. I'm afraid of the silence. Oh, don't judge me harshly, Peter. I loved you as if you belonged to my family. I gladly let Anya marry you. I swear it, only dear, you ought to work. Finish your studies, you don't do anything. Only fate throws you about from place to place. It's so hard, isn't it true? Yes, and you ought to do something to your beard to make it grow better. You are funny.
I don't.
Trofimov picks up the telegram.
I don't want to be a Beau Brummel.
Oh, this telegram is from Paris. I get one every day. Yesterday, today. That wild man is ill again. He's bad again. He begs for forgiveness and implores me to come. And I really ought to go to Paris to be near him. Oh, you look severe, Peter, but what can I do, my dear? What can I do? He's ill. He's alone, unhappy. And who's to look after him? Who's to keep him away from his errors, to give him his medicine punctually? And why should I conceal it and think nothing about it? I love him. That's plain. I love him. I love him. That love is a stone around my neck. I'm going with it to the bottom, but I love that stone and I can't live without it. Oh, don't think badly of me, Peter. Don't say anything to me. Don't.
For God's sake, forgive my speaking candidly, but that man has robbed you.
No, you oughtn't to say that. Do not say that.
But he's a wretch. You alone don't know it. He's a petty thief, a nobody.
You're 26 or 27, still a schoolboy of the second class.
Why not?
You ought to be a man at your age. You ought to be able to understand those who love. You ought to be in love yourself. You must fall in love. Yes, you aren't pure. You're just a freak, a queer fellow, a funny growth.
What is she saying?
I'm above love. You're not above love. You're just what our fears calls a bungler. Not to have a mistress at your age.
This is awful. What is she saying? It's awful. I can't stand it. I'll go away. All is over between us.
Trofimov exits.
Peter, wait, silly man. I was joking. Peter.
Someone falls downstairs noisily.
What's that?
Anya enters briefly.
Peter's fallen downstairs.
This Peter's a marvel.
A waltz is heard from the next room. Everybody dances. Trofimov, Anya, Varya, and Lubov Andreevna enter.
Oh, Peter, you poor soul. I beg your pardon. Let's dance.
She dances with Peter. Anya and Varya dance. Fiers enters and stands his stick by a side door. Yasha has also come in and looks on at the dance.
Well, grandfather?
Oh, I am not well. At our ball some time back, generals and barons and admirals used to dance. And now we send for post office clerks and the station master, and even they come as a favour. Very weak. The dead master, the grandfather, used to give everybody sealing wax when anything was wrong. I've taken sealing wax every day for 20 years and more. Perhaps that's why I'm still alive.
I'm tired of you, grandfather. If you'd only just hurry up and kick the bucket.
Oh, you bungler.
Trofimov and Lubov Andreevna dance in the reception room.
Mercy, I'll sit down. I'm tired.
Anya enters.
Somebody in the kitchen was saying just now that the cherry orchard was sold today.
Sold to whom?
He didn't say who to whom. He's gone now.
Anya dances off with Trofimov.
Some old man was chattering about it a long time ago. A stranger.
Leonid Andreevich isn't here yet. He hasn't come. He's wearing a light demi-saison overcoat. He'll catch cold. Oh, these young fellows.
I'll die of this. Go and find out, Yasha, to whom it's sold.
But he's gone a long time. The old man.
Why do you laugh? What are you glad about?
Epiconov's too funny. He's a silly man. 22 troubles.
As if the state is sold, where will you go?
Well, I'll go wherever you order me to go.
Why do you look like that? Are you ill? I think you ought to go to bed.
Yes, I'll go to bed, and who'll hand things round and give orders without me? I have the whole house on my shoulders.
Lubov and Drevna, I want to ask a favor of you. If you'll be so kind. If you'll go to Paris again, then please take me with you. It's absolutely impossible for me to stop here. What's the good of talking about it? You see for yourself, this is an uneducated country with an immoral population. It's so dull. The food in the kitchen is beastly. And here's this Fears walking about mumbling various inappropriate things. Oh, take me with you. Be so kind.
Pishin enters.
I've come to ask for the pleasure of this little waltz, dear lady. But all the same, you wonderful woman, I must have 180 little rubles from you. I must. 180 little rubles.
Oh, will you understand my soul's deep restlessness?
In the drawing room, a figure in a grey top hat and in baggy check trousers is waving its hand and jumping about, and there are cries of "Bravo, Carlotta Ivanovna!"
The young mistress tells me to dance. There are a lot of gentlemen, but few ladies. And my head goes round when I dance, and my heart beats. Firs Nikolavich, the post office clerk, told me something just now that made me catch my breath.
Oh, what did he say to you?
He says, "You're like a little flower."
Oh, impolite.
Yasha exits.
Like a little flower. I'm such a delicate flower girl. Simply love words of tenderness.
You'll lose your head.
Epikodov enters.
You, Avdotia Fedorovna, want to see me no more than if I was some insect. Oh, life.
What do you want?
Undoubtedly, perhaps you may be right. But certainly, if you regard the matter from the aspect, then you, if I may say so, and you must excuse my candidness, have absolutely reduced me to a state of mind. I know my fate. Every day, something unfortunate happens to me, and I've grown used to it a long time ago. And I even look at my fate with a smile. You gave me your word, and though
Please, we'll talk later on, but leave me alone now. I'm meditating now.
every day something unfortunate happens to me, and I, if I may so express myself, only smile and even laugh.
Varia enters from the drawing room.
Haven't you gone yet, Simeon? You really have no respect for anybody. You go away, Dunyasha. You play billiards and break a cue and walk about the drawing room as if you were a visitor.
You cannot, if I may say so, call me to order.
I'm not calling you to order. I'm only telling you. You just walk about from place to place and never do your work. Goodness only knows why we keep a clerk.
Whether I work or walk about or eat or play billiards is only a matter to be settled by people of understanding and my elders.
You dare to talk to me like that? You dare? You mean that I know nothing? Get out of here. This minute.
I must ask you to express yourself more delicately.
Get out this minute! Get out!
He goes to the door and she follows.
22 troubles. I don't want any sign of you here. I don't want to see anything of you.
Epikhodov has gone out, but his voice can still be heard.
I'll make a complaint against you.
What? Coming back?
She snatches up the sick.
Go. I'll show you. Are you going? Are you going? Well, then take that.
She swings fierce stick and hits Lopakhin as he enters.
Oh,
Much obliged.
I'm sorry.
Never mind. I thank you for my pleasant reception.
It isn't worth any thanks. I didn't hurt you, did I?
No, not at all. There'll be an enormous bump, that's all.
Voices from the drawing room. Lopakhin's returned, Ermolai Alexandrovich.
Now we'll see what there is to see and hear what there is to hear. You smell of cognac, my dear. My soul. And we're all having a good time.
Lubov Andreevna enters.
Is that you, Ermolai Alexandrovich? Why were you so long? Where's Leonid?
Leonid Andreevich came back with me. He's coming.
Well, what? Is it sold? Tell me.
Well, the sale ended up at 4 o'clock. We missed the train and had to wait till 9:30. Oh, my head's going round a little.
Liev enters.
Leon, what's happened? Leon! Well, quick, for the love of God.
Here, take this. There are anchovies, herrings from Kerch. I've had no food today. I have had a time.
The sound of billiards from the next room.
I'm awfully tired. Help me change my clothes, Fears.
Gaev and Fears exit.
What happened? Come on, tell us.
Is the cherry orchard sold?
It is sold.
Who bought it?
I bought it.
Lubov Andreevna is overwhelmed. Varya takes her keys off her belt and throws them onto the floor and exits.
I bought it. Wait, ladies and gentlemen, please. My head's going around. I can't talk. When we got to the sale, Deraganov was there already. Leonid Andreevich had only 15,000 rubles, and Deraganov offered 30,000 on top of the mortgage to begin with. I saw how matters were, so I grabbed hold of him and bid 40. He went up to 45. I offered 55. That means he went up by 5s and I went up by 10s. Well, it came to an end. I bid 90 more than the mortgage, and it stayed with me. The cherry orchard is mine now. Mine. Oh, my God. My God, the cherry orchard's mine. Tell me I'm drunk or mad or dreaming. Don't laugh at me. If my father and grandfather rose from their graves and looked at the whole affair and saw how their Ermolai, their beaten and uneducated Ermolai who used to run barefoot in the winter, how that very Ermolai has bought an estate, which is the most beautiful thing in the world. I've brought the estate where my grandfather and my father were slaves, where they weren't even allowed into the kitchen. I'm asleep. It's only a dream, an illusion. It's the fruit of imagination wrapped in the fog of the unknown.
He picks up the keys.
She threw down the keys. She wanted to show she was no longer mistress here. Ah, well, it's all one. Hey, musicians, play. I want to hear you. Come and look at Ermolai Lopakhin laying his axe to the cherry orchard. Come and look at the trees falling. We'll build villas here, and our grandsons and great-grandsons will see a new life here. Play on music. Why, then? Why didn't you take my advice? My poor dear woman, you can't go back now. Oh, if only the old thing was done with. If only our uneven, unhappy life were changed.
He's crying. Let's go into the drawing room and leave her by herself. Come on.
What's that? Bandsman? Play nicely. Go on, do just as I want you to. The new owner, the owner of the cherry orchard is coming.
He accidentally knocks up against a little table and nearly upsets a candelabra.
Well, I can pay for everything.
Lopakhin and Pishin exit. In the reception room and the drawing room, nobody remains except Lubov Andreevna, who is left weeping. Anya and Trofimov enter quickly. Anya comforts her mother. Trofimov waits.
Mother, are you crying? My dear, kind, good mother. My beautiful mother, I love you. Bless you. The cherry orchard is sold. We've got it no longer, it's true. But don't cry, Mother. You've still got your life before you. You've still your beautiful, pure soul. Come, dear, away from here. Come. We'll plant a new garden. Finer than this, you'll see it. You'll understand, and deep joy, gentle joy will sink into your soul like the evening sun. And you'll smile, Mother. Come, dear. Let's go.
End of Act 3. Are we taking a break here?
It's up to you.
Jackie, do you want to take a break, or we've gotten 3/4 of the way?
Nice, sure. Yes, we'll take a break. Is that okay for everybody? Hello?
I'm good. Yes, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. Want to take 5 minutes or something?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Let's take a few. All right.
All right, we'll take a brief break for 5 minutes. Be starting again around
5, 7. I won't yell.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Angus, I was wondering if you wanted to try sort of like going out, quitting Zoom, and coming back. So that
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I wanted a break.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'll exit and restart, and then I'll sign in again in a minute.
Okay, sounds
Right.
good. Yeah, because we do want there should be someone for the very end of the play.
That's right. Yes, the words alone are not quite everything. Okay, you've stopped my video?
I stopped your video. Yeah.
Okay.
I can ask you to start it, but it wasn't working. It was just sort of showing up as a
I know. This computer, it's the best quality, but it keeps up until 2 days ago, I couldn't get any sound on it, which is why I was using another one. Let me exit and I will start the whole system again.
All righty. Okay, thank you. And well, thank you to our attendees who are watching this. If anybody has any questions or anything they'd like to say, if you raise your hand, I can I'll get you to talk if you want to, or you can talk afterwards. One of the things that I think it's just amazing to me, I haven't read this play for a while, but just how many of this sort of, it still seems a very sort of contemporary play, you know, still there's so much to speak of it in terms of the idea of like, yes, they had slaves as well, you know, and this orchard was only economically feasible when there were serfs, you know, so it's really I think very relevant. One of the also the other thing that he said, the only things that are real, and one of the things he mentioned was Asiatic plagues. Yeah, there is a lot with this. I think there was actually an adaptation of this done with sort of adapting it to an American adaptation. I think it was called The Wisteria Trees or something, with Helen Hayes, and with it being like on a plantation, you know, so. Which
Is that something one can see? Is it filmed or recorded somewhere?
I think it was actually one of these things that was filmed for like, you know, like filmed and performed on like live TV when they used to do it like that. I
Mhm.
don't know if it is available or not.
I'll Google. It's called the Wisteria
I
something.
think it was called the Wisteria Trees, or maybe the Wisteria Orchard. I'm not sure, but I knew it had Helen Hayes in it. But
The Wisteria Trees play. Yeah.
yeah,
See if you can see it somewhere. Hang on.
yeah. There's that's one of the things that I think is really, I mean, like why, I mean, Shakespeare is, I mean, is undeniably very popular and well known to a lot of people because there've also been a lot of very successful Shakespeare movies. And we've talked about this before, that it's much harder to have a successful Chekhov movie because it's about how people are reacting, and that there's so much, everything is an ensemble. You don't have like, it's not like, well, I mean, I guess in this play, I mean, Luba is the central character really, but everybody there, it's a whole, it's all about the sort of the group dynamic of all these people, which is what I love about Chekhov so much.
I've seen it 3 times. There was only once, 4 times, only once that I liked it. It's very hard. It's very hard to nail, you know, the tone.
Well, I saw there was one that was done just recently with Diane Lane and Joel Grey as Fears, Roundabout. Did you see that one?
No.
That one, it did
Oh.
not get very good reviews, but I really liked it a lot. I
I
thought it was
wish I
terrific.
had. They're good, really good people. She's a good actress. I like her.
Yeah, yeah. And but the thing is, it was very funny, you know, and so people were like, "Oh, well, you're not doing Chekhov right if people are actually laughing."
So that one should be
Ridiculous.
watchable at the research library.
Theater on Film and Tape, I believe so. I don't know how they've been operating in COVID times, but it is an amazing resource.
Yeah, I've seen stuff there. I'm going to go check that out. Thank you, whoever raised that one.
Yeah. So, what productions had you seen of it?
Oh God, I saw one by the Royal National at the Barbican, which was, I guess the best word would be earnest. You know? It was very earnest. It wasn't bad exactly. It just didn't have any colors. It was just sort of there. It's like, I don't know, it was like reading it very quickly. It was like a Cliff Note version. It just didn't sing. I don't know why exactly. And I don't remember the other two, except I have little images in my mind. And the one that stays with me is one with Diane Wiest. I think it was at SC Repertory in the city. I think. It was somewhere in New York. It was some off-Broadway place. It was her and John Turturro. And that was the one where I went, oh, I get it. Chekhov. Now I get it. Like, that's why people like it. This is interesting. This is weird. And you are sort of laughing, and yet it's deeply sad at the same time. That was the only one out of 4 productions.
I saw a stage reading of it with Ellen Burstyn.
Mm-hmm.
Studio, and she was marvelous.
There was a really good one at Lincoln Center, like 1977. Everybody.
I saw that one.
Raul Julia and Irene Worth.
I saw that.
That was the one I wanted to see.
Meryl Streep played Dunyasha. That was really sensitive.
I liked that
That was
one.
good.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, and actually, I think Diane Lane played a little girl in it.
Oh,
Really?
That she was actually, that was one of her first things.
Ellen Burstyn, though, you really felt that she was really, it was one of the first, I've seen it a couple of times in various ways, you know, even actors doing it in school who are actually good actors, but Ellen Burstyn was the first one who I saw that I felt really seriously cared about losing the cherry orchard, you know, that
Uta
had moved-
Hagen, she said, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Uta Hagen said that you had
No, Uta Hagen said she was playing it, and then closing night, she finally found a way to say goodbye, and then she couldn't do it because it was closing night.
Oh,
It took her the entire run to find it.
right. I
Yeah.
mean, really, you have to. We have modern heads. I mean, we lose our homes go bankrupt all the time. So I guess you have to
This
think
is a tragedy.
having
The-
losing your home where there's no way you can keep it. It's happening right now to people.
and losing the orchard.
Losing their
I
home.
mean,
Right.
and he's got a character named Gaev in it. He's
She doesn't
definitely
want
very
it.
pro Mother Earth in this play.
She does, it's not just losing her home. Once she's losing her home, to the idea of it being made into, it's like cabanas, you're taking all these lovely things and you're chopping it up to cabanas by like a beach club in Atlantic Beach or Long Beach or somewhere like that. Like that's kind of what makes me, I could almost see it that way. You're just chopping gorgeous things into, things for people to come in the summer, sit around, play cards,
But the tragedy is that they speak about stopping it, but then they allow it to happen. It happens right under their noses. And I think that's what he's trying to say about this. Go ahead.
I can
I'm
see
back. I'm there.
Yes, yes, you're back. You're back.
Welcome. We've missed you through this entire play.
Oh, yeah, we did Act 4 while you were gone. We're done now.
What happened?
The audio and the video act up on this thing. And I think basically it was doing something crazy on me.
Paul?
Welcome back.
Paul?
Yes.
Check your text. Chat.
Yeah, I know. It's I think we can. It's been more than 5 minutes, and now that
I'm ready.
back, let's get
Right.
on.
Let's do it.
I said check your chat. I sent you a message.
Okay.
Okay. Should I keep the video off when I'm doing the stage directions?
That's probably best. And then just come in as your characters. Yeah.
Sounds good. Right you are. Everybody ready?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Act 4. The room is the same as the beginning, but now it's bare. The only furniture left is piled in a corner for sale. Suitcases and boxes are piled near the front door. Lopakhin stands waiting. Yasha stands with a tray of glasses of champagne. Voices can be heard coming from the rest of the house. Outside, the estate peasants have come to say goodbye.
Thank you, brothers. Thank you.
The common people have come to say goodbye. I'm of the opinion, Molai Ilakskovich, that they're good people, but they don't understand very much.
Lubov, Andreevna, and Gaev enter.
You gave them your purse, Luba. You can't go on like that. You can't.
I couldn't help myself. I couldn't.
Gaev and Lubov exit.
Please, I ask you most humbly, just a little glass to say goodbye. I didn't remember to bring any from town, and I only found one bottle at the station. Please do. Won't you really have any? If I only knew, I wouldn't have brought any. Well, I shan't drink any either. You have a drink, Yasha, at any rate.
To those departing, and good luck to those who stay behind. I can assure you this isn't real champagne.
8 rubles a bottle. It's devilish cold here.
There are no fires today. We're going away.
What's the matter with you?
I'm just pleased.
It's October outside, but it's as sunny and quiet as if it were summer. Good for building. Ladies and gentlemen, please remember that it's only 47 minutes till the train goes. You must go off to the station in 20 minutes. Hurry up.
Trofimov enters.
Time we went. Carriage is awaiting. Where the devil are my galoshes? They're lost. Anya, I can't find my galoshes. I can't.
I've got to go to Kharkov. I'm going in the same train as you. I'm going to spend the whole winter in Kharkov. I've been hanging about with you people, going rusty without work. I can't live without working. I must have something to do with my hands. They hang about as if they weren't mine at all.
We'll go away now, and then you'll start again on your useful labors.
Have a glass.
I won't.
So, you're off to Moscow now.
Yes. I'll see them into town tomorrow, and I'll see them into town, and tomorrow I'm off for Moscow.
Yes. I expect the professors don't lecture nowadays. They're waiting till you turn up.
That's none of your business.
How many years have you been going to the university?
Think of something fresh. This is old and flat. You know, we may not meet each other again, so just let me give you a word of advice on parting. Don't wave your hands about. Get rid of that habit of waving them about. And then building villas and reckoning on their residents, becoming freeholders in time. That's the same thing. It's all a matter of waving your hands about. You know, whether I want to or not, you know I like you. You've thin, delicate fingers, like those of an artist, and you have a thin, delicate soul.
Goodbye, dear fellow. Thanks for all you've said. If you want any, take some money from me for the journey.
Why should I? I don't want it.
But you've nothing.
Yes, I have. Thank you. I've got some for a translation. Here it is in my pocket. But I can't find my galoshes.
Take your rubbish away.
Varya throws a pair of rubber galoshes onto the stage.
Why are you angry, Varya? Huh? These aren't my galoshes.
In the spring, I sowed 3,000 acres of poppies, and now I've made 40,000 rubles net profit. And when my poppies were in flower, what a picture it was. So I, as I was saying, made 40,000 rubles. And I mean, I'd like to lend you some because I can afford it. Why turn up your nose at it? I'm just a simple peasant.
Your father was a peasant. Mine was a chemist, and that means absolutely nothing. No. Even if you gave me 20,000, I should refuse. I'm a free man. And everything that all you people, rich and poor, value so highly and so dearly, hasn't the least influence over me. It's like a flock of down in the wind. I can do without you. I can pass you by. I'm strong and proud. Mankind goes on to the highest truths and to the highest happiness, such as is only possible on earth, and I go in the front ranks.
Will you get there?
I will. I'll get there, and I'll show others the way.
Axes are heard cutting the trees in the distance.
Well, goodbye, old man. It's time to go. Here we stand, pulling one another's noses, but life goes its own way all the time. When I work for a long time and I don't get tired, then I think more easily, and I think I get to understand why I exist. And there are so many people in Russia, brother, who live for nothing at all. Still, work goes on without that. Leonid Andreevich, they say, has accepted a post in a bank. He will get 60,000 rubles a year, but he won't stand it. He's very lazy.
Mother asks if you will stop them cutting down the orchard until she's gone away.
Yes. Really, you ought to have enough tact not to do that.
Trofimov exits.
All right. Yes, he's right.
Lopakin exits.
Has Fierce been sent to the hospital?
I gave the order this morning. I suppose they've sent him.
Simeon Panteleevich, please make inquiries if Fierce has been sent to the hospital.
I told Igor this morning. What's the use of asking 10 times?
The aged fears, in my conclusive opinion, isn't worth mending. His forefathers had better have him. I only envy him.
He puts a trunk on a hat box and squashes it.
Oh, well, of course. I thought so.
And Epikodov exits.
2 and 20 troubles.
Has Fierce been taken away to the hospital?
Yes.
Why didn't they take the letter to the doctor?
It'll have to be sent after him.
And Anya exits.
Where's Yasha? Tell him his mother's come and wants to say goodbye to him.
She'll make me lose all patience.
Then Yasha has been bustling around the luggage, and now that Yasha is left alone, she goes up to him.
If only you looked at me once, Yasha. You're going away, leaving me behind.
She hugs him round his neck.
What's the use of crying? In 6 days, I'll be again in Paris. Tomorrow we get into the express and off we go. I can hardly believe it. Vive la France! It doesn't suit me here. I can't live here. It's no good. Well, I've seen the uncivilized world. I've had enough of it. What do you want to cry for? You behave yourself properly, and then you won't cry.
Well, send me a letter from Paris. You know, I loved you, Yasha, so much. I'm a sensitive creature, Yasha.
Somebody's coming.
He bustles around the luggage, singing softly. Lubov, Andreevna, Gaev, Anya, and Carlotta Ivanovna enter.
We'd better be off. There's no time left. Somebody smells a herring.
We needn't get into our carriages for 10 minutes. Goodbye, dear house, oh grandfather. The winter will go, the spring will come, and then you'll exist no more. You'll be pulled down what these walls have seen.
She passionately kisses her daughter.
I treasure your radiance. Your eyes flash like 2 jewels. Are you happy, Mary?
Very. A new life is beginning, Mother.
Yes, really. Everything's all right now. Before the cherry orchard was sold, we were all excited and we suffered. And then, when the question was resolved once and for all, we calmed down and even became cheerful. I'm a bank official now and a financier. Right in the middle. And you, Luba, for some reason or other, look better. There's no doubt about it.
My nerves are better, it's true. I sleep well. Take my luggage out, Yasha. My little girl will soon see each other again. I'm off to Paris. I'll live there on the money your grandmother from Yaroslav sent along to buy the estate, bless her. Though it won't last long.
You'll come back soon, Mother, won't you? I'll get ready and pass the exam at high school, and then I'll work and help you. We'll read all sorts of books to one another, won't we? We'll read in the autumn evenings. We'll read many books, and a beautiful new world will open up before us. You'll come, Mother?
I'll come, my darling.
Lopakhin enters, Carlotta singing to herself.
Carlotta's happy. She sings.
My little baby, bye-bye. Hush, my little, nice little boy. I am so sorry for you.
She throws the bundle back.
So please find me a new place. I can't go on like this.
We'll find one, Carlotta Ivanovna. Don't you be afraid.
Everyone's leaving us. Varia's going away. We've suddenly become unnecessary.
I have nowhere to live in town. I must go away. Never mind.
Kishin enters.
Nature's marvel.
Oh, let me get my breath back. Fagged out. Most honored. Give me some water.
Come for money, what? I'm your humble servant and I'm going out of the way of temptation.
I haven't been here for ever so long, dear madam. You here. Glad to see you, man of the midst brain. Take this. Take it.
He gives Lopakhin money.
400 rubles. That leaves 840.
As if I were dreaming. Where did you get this from?
Now stop. It's hot. A most unexpected thing happened. Some Englishmen came along and found some white clay on my land.
Cellular function.
And here's 400 for you, beautiful lady.
And I felt very lonely and had a drink.
Ben, you're still not muted, so please mute yourself. Or
Get out. What?
Give you the rest later.
I want you to get out of here before I have a drink. You're not just an alcoholic, you're a carrier.
Ben, what's going on? I'm going to mute you if you don't mute yourself. Okay, he's muted. Sorry.
Just now, a young man in the train was saying that some great philosopher advises us all of us, to jump off roofs. Jump, he says. That's all. Think of that now. More water.
Who were these Englishmen?
I've leased off the land with clay to them for 24 years. Now, excuse me, I have no time. I must run off. I must go to Kenilworth and to Ahmedabad. I owe them all money. Goodbye. I'll come in on Thursday.
We're just off to town, and tomorrow I go abroad.
What? Out of town. I see furniture, trunks. Well, never mind. Never mind. These Englishmen are men of immense intellect. Never mind. Be happy. God will help you. Never mind. Everything in this world comes to an end. And if you should happen to hear that my end has come, just remember this old horse and say, there was one such and such Semenoff Fishkin. God bless his soul. Wonderful weather, yes?
He exits, deeply moved, but returns at once and says in the door,
Dashinka sent your love.
And he exits.
Now we can go. I have 2 anxieties, though. The first is poor fears. I still have 5 minutes.
Mother, Fierce has already been sent to the hospital. Yasha sent him off this morning.
The second is Varya. She's used to getting up early and to work, and now she's no work to do. She's like a fish out of water. She's grown thin and pale, and she cries, poor thing. You know very well, Emily Alexeyevich, that I used to hope to marry her to you, and I suppose you're going to marry somebody.
Anya nods to Carlotta, and they both exit.
And she loves you. She's your sort, and I don't understand. I really don't. Why you seem to be keeping away from each other? I don't understand.
To tell the truth, I don't understand it myself. It's all so strange. If there's still time, I'll be ready at once. Let's get it over once and for all. I don't feel as if I could propose to her without you.
Excellent. It'll only take a minute. I'll call her.
The champagne's very appropriate. They're empty. Somebody's already drunk them. I call that licking it up.
Excellent. We'll go out, Yasha. Alas, I'll call her in. Varya, leave that and come here. Come.
Lubov exits with Yasha.
Yes.
Varya enters.
Can't seem to find it.
What are you looking for?
I packed it myself and I don't remember.
Where are you going now, Barbara Mihailovna?
To the Ragulins. I've got an agreement to go and look after their house as housekeeper or something.
Is that at Yashnevo? It's about 50 miles. So, life in this house is finished now.
She looks at the luggage.
Where is it? Perhaps I've put it away in the trunk. Yes, there'll be no more life in this house.
Then I'm off to Kharkov at once by this train. I have a lot of business on hand. I'm leaving Epikhadov here. I've taken him on.
Well.
Now, last year at this time, the snow was already falling, if you remember, and now it's nice and sunny. Only it's rather cold. There's 3 degrees of frost.
I didn't look. And our thermometer's broken.
Ermolai Alexeyevich?
This minute.
Varya sitting on the floor, puts her face on a bundle of clothes and weeps gently. Lubov Andreevna enters carefully.
Well, we must go.
Yes, it's quite time, little mother. I'll get to the Ragulins today if I don't miss the train.
Anya, put on your things.
Anya, Gaev, Carlotta Ivanovna enter. Epikodov bustles around the luggage.
And now we can go away.
Away.
My friends, my dear friends, can I be silent in leaving this house forevermore? Can I restrain myself in saying farewell from expressing those feelings which now fill my whole being?
Uncle, you shouldn't.
Double the rent to the mill. I'll be silent.
Trofimov and Lopakin enter.
Well, it's time to be off.
Epikhadov, my coat.
I'll sit here one more minute. It's as if I've never really noticed what the walls and ceilings of this house were like. Now I look at them greedily with such tender love.
I remember when I was 6 years old, on Trinity Sunday, I sat at this window and looked, saw my father going to church.
Have all the things been taken away?
Yes, all, I think. You see that everything's quite straight, Epikhadov. You're muted, Epikhadov. What's the matter with your voice? I can't hear it at all because you're muted.
You can depend on me, Rolia Alexovich.
What's the matter with your voice?
I swallowed something just now. I was having a drink of water.
What manners?
Go away and not a soul remains behind.
Till the spring.
Varya drags an umbrella out of a bundle and seems to be waving it about.
What are you doing? I never thought...
Come on, let's take our seats. It's time. The train will be in directly.
Peter, here they are, your galoshes by that trunk. And how old and dirty they are.
Come on.
Train, station, cross in the middle, double white in the corner.
Let's go.
Are you all here? There's nobody else?
He locks the side door.
There's a lot of things in there. I must lock them up. Come.
Bye, home. Goodbye, old life.
Welcome, new life.
Trofimov exits with Anya. Varya looks around the room and goes out slowly. Yasha and Carlotta, with her little dog, exit.
Till the spring, then. Come on. Till we meet again.
Lopakin exits. Lubov Andreevna and Gaev are left alone. They fall into each other's arms.
My sister. My sister.
My dad, my gentle, beautiful orchard, my life, my youth, my happiness. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Mother.
To look at the walls and the windows for the last time. My dead mother used to like to walk about this room.
Oh, my sister. My sister.
Mother.
We're coming.
And they exit. The stage is now empty. The sound of keys being turned in the locks is heard, and then the noise of the carriages going away. It's quiet, and then the sound of an axe against the trees is heard in the silence, sadly and by itself. Steps are heard, and Fierce comes in from the door on the right. He's ill. He goes to the door and tries the handle.
It's locked. They've gone away. They've forgotten about me. Never mind, I'll sit here. And Leonid Andreevich will have gone out in a light overcoat instead of putting on his fur coat. Oh, I didn't see. Oh, these young people. Life's gone on as if I'd never lived. I'll lie down. Oh, you've no strength left in you. Nothing left at all. Oh, you bungler. He lies without moving. The distant sound is heard as if from the sky of a breaking string, dying away sadly. Silence. The sound to be heard some way off in the orchard is the axe falling on the trees. End of play.
This one is much more a tragedy than The Seagull.
It's a comedy. He called it.
I don't see it as a comedy. This one.
Well, Chekhov called it a comedy. Stanislavski thought of it as a tragedy because he was from the aristocracy, and it's interesting that actually Chekhov wanted Stanislavski to play Lepakin, but Lepakin refused. He wanted to play Gaev. So, I know if some of you have to go and do other things. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you all for doing this. Jackie, thank you for putting it together.
Yay!
Thank you all.
I don't think it's fair to put somebody down for calling what's called a comedy a tragedy. I see this play as a tragedy.
Well, the thing is, Chekhov didn't. It's actually officially called a vaudeville, and a vaudeville to the Russians meant something different from what it means to us. It tends to get translated as a comedy, but he called them vaudevilles.
What did a vaudeville mean in Russia?
I think it's a slice of life, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's the play itself, considering the time it was written, pre-Bolshevik Revolution and the fall of the aristocracy, and there's a very huge concern. I mean, he has a character named Gaev, for Christ's sake. I mean, he's pleading for the Mother Russia, Mother Earth. He does it also in the other play you just read,
there's a
Uncle Vanya.
But I think that in terms of saying that I mean, Leonid Andreevich Gaev, I mean, it's not Gaia. I mean, it doesn't. I don't really think that's. I mean, number of people talk about the importance of nature and things with that, and that was something that Chekhov really did think very highly of.
And he comes back to his old themes of people saying, "I must work. I just must work."
Yes.
And what will people think of us in the future? The questions that he's always raising in all his plays.
Yeah. I like that you can say half his characters must work and the other half are really tired. That's usually what they're talking about.
Right.
That's
right.
Or both at the same time.
Or both at the same time, right.
but I think I'm one of the things I mentioned after the Uncle Vanya is try and get to see the player piano thing that Mikhalkov filmed and look at how they deal with very sad scenes, and they're so extravagant, and there's craziness about them all.
I think what he's saying, though, is that the aristocracy, the rich people, while there's some of them, they could have done something about it. They were so wrapped up in their own lives that the cherry trees and the cherry orchard, as much as she raved on about it, it was going away before her eyes until one moment she turns around and it's been auctioned.
Yeah.
And she was already thinking of going away anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in other words, they're protesting so much about something they care so much about while it's being taken away from them.
But they do nothing. They actually refuse to do anything to save.
To stop it.
To stop it, right, yeah. Totally.
Right.
And
It's
that's
a romantic...
and I think that's what Chekhov is making fun of. And that's the comic, that's the bittersweet comic of it. That's what
you found a technical note that this play is more of a he called all of his plays pretty much comedies,
or the translation, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're on the outside, watching them makes you, as an audience, it makes you laugh, where the comedy is, because you look at things like Dunyasha and Yasha, you know that's not going to work out. You know he's going to either knock her up or leave her or whatever.
Mhm.
People to
Or
themselves
both.
because it's sad. There's a sadness, and it's like it's like I guess the humor is in the things that what you know, what you know is going to happen in these situations. Like Paquin might never get involved with Charlotta or something. Will never marry Varga. It's stuff like that. You just, it's from the outside in, it's funny, but inside it's not funny.
I
And the
actually
last
saw
sound.
From the outside, though, like compared to the rest of his plays, like this, I really believe this is more of a comedy in our traditional sense of like it being like a good ending, or a positive ending, than like the seagull, because someone like it kills themselves at the end. There's no repair.
The cherry, or the last thing is though the sound of the cherry, the axe chopping down the tree.
Yes, of course. But let me explain. I mean, maybe no, it's okay. Just for you to consider, like, because after all, the chopping down of the trees is okay. I'll explain. So, in Ivanov and the Seagull, people die. That's irreparable. In Uncle Vanya, like, they're screwed. They're gonna have to work for the rest of their lives in misery and toil, and it's awful. And there's a death in Three Sisters too. This one, it does. There's room for hope despite the tragedy. Like, and a few things like the cherry orchard does represent a facade of happiness. Like, just this vague facade that covers all the misery of serfdom and basically slavery and this
extravagance,
aristocracy system. And though it's going to be hard, like they have each other at least at the very end. They have prospects for Guy has prospects for getting a job. Trofimov and Ani are together. There's they're leaving behind a dark time in the hopes of a new one. But then of course the revolution happens and tens of millions of people die. So but there is some room for optimism, I think, in this. More than the other plays,
But how does Trokimov feel about them chopping down the trees?
There are a lot. The only one really is Luba. She's going back to this mean fellow who ditched her. She's the one who could end up like on opium and end up fading away. She's the one that is real. There's left back, real. Everybody else could pair up, marry. Good things might happen for them.
Perhaps.
It's contrasting your expectations of the future and whether you have to do something about it. Ranevskaya has a romantic ideal. They're all living in the past, and they can't drag themselves out of the past to do it. Whereas Lopakhin has risen from being the son of a peasant to actually make something of himself, and he's the new direction in Russia.
Yeah. I was actually able to be the station master, who's a very small role in the party scene, directed by Marshall Mason. It was a college production, but he's the founding artistic director of Circle Rep that did all Lanford's plays, Lanford Wilson's plays. And they did it in Rep with 5th of July because of that ensemble nature, that slice of life, and that feeling of a community in unrest. And he brought it as a comedy, looking at all the realness that's happening, not skirting away from any of that seriousness. And it came out as very funny and very moving. And I think that's the vaudevillian. That's the slapstick that can turn into, someone dying at the end of the play, and it's actually supposed to be funny as Fears dies. It's like, oh, hey, yep, and they all left him behind.
I did see a production of the Cherry Orchard once, and it really had some real problems. I remember sitting next to an old couple in the theatre, and in the intermission they were talking away, and I remember the woman saying to her husband, well, I know it's not their fault they can't do it. And at the end of the play, when Fierce came sort of shuffling onto the stage, we said, oh, they've left me, and the audience burst out laughing. I don't think it was quite what they intended, but
No,
it's how
I
it came off.
expect not.
And for those who don't know, the station master has the little bit where he is, again, the lack of care by the nobility of the peasants, because there's a bit in the ballroom scene where he starts reading a poem that Chekhov calls Madeline, by Tolstoy, not Leo Tolstoy. This is A.P. Tolstoy, who was a poet a bit earlier. And it's actually a comedy poem, more commonly referred to as The Sinful Woman. I dropped that out because it really only works with mass movement. And besides which, I couldn't actually find the poem because it's not given in the play.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah. It's a big comedic part because the wife has to come and like reconcile him because people stop listening and he just kind of fades off.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, on its feet, it's funny. You know, the situations are funny. You know,
What's
nice to put it on its feet. Right?
Yeah.
You know, in costumes and settings and stuff, it does become exciting. That's why people like Chekhov.
It's interesting how somebody talked about how the family didn't do anything to save the cherry orchard, and of course, I think they realized there was this impending doom that was really coming, and of course, if they would have tried to save the cherry orchard, then it wouldn't really be a story, But I think they realized. I think they realized that it was this impending doom coming. Life goes on, the society is changing, and either they were going to change with it or not. So that's kind of interesting, I thought.
Remember also that, that the upper classes who did have lots of money, when you talked about them and you measured their wealth, you actually measured their wealth in the number of peasants they owned.
Sure.
Oh, he's got 200. Oh, yeah, but he's got 500. And that was how you measured their status and how you measured their wealth. It was in the people they owned.
And you wonder why there was a revolution.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Didn't Chekhov's family buy themselves out of peasantry? I think, didn't he? The father ended up owning a store. I think I once read.
He was drunk. I mean,
at one point.
It was his brothers who also made more of themselves. Our father was a Taganrog, wasn't that where they lived? And he got out.
Can't believe I have cherry trees on another thing. I should have downloaded some cherry blossom. Oh, well, too late.
Does anybody
This is a Brooklyn Botanical Garden cherry cheese, by the way.
I love yours. Yes, I have tons of cherry pictures. I didn't think.
I have to go back and read his life. Of course, he became a doctor.
He was a doctor.
Where I read, that they were poor. They started out poor.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. He was. My feeling is that when the revolution came, how long did he live till Chekhov?
Not much longer than this.
Yeah. So, but he would have definitely been on the side of the Bolsheviks in the revolution, where Tolstoy would not. Tolstoy would not have been. I think Chekhov definitely would have been.
I'm going to take off, guys. Nice working with you, and I catch you at the next fork in the road.
And you too. See you again, Mark.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Does anybody know what the plot of that poem was? The Sinful Woman or the Magdalene?
It's just a woman who lives in sin. As I say, I couldn't find it. The only A.P. Tolstoy collection that I found, that one wasn't in it. And then I sort of gave up looking because I was disappearing down a rabbit hole and trying to work out what stage directions I should be reading and what I shouldn't be reading, because,
Fair enough.
So many of them
Fantastic job, by the way.
Thanks.
Yeah, it was great. Alex, you were wonderful too. Yes, all of you.
So many of the stage directions are of the Shavian kind, like, he blanches visibly.
Size.
Yeah, you let the actors do all of that. But I sent Bennett a photograph of Stanislavski dressed up, ready for playing Gaev. And it's all physical. his hair's swept back in a very artistic mode. He's sitting very tall and postured, and he's got this little handkerchief in his hand being held very delicately. And there's something desperately, and a flowing cravat, something desperately foppish about him.
Yeah.
Which character is this?
That was Gaev. Stanislavski played in the Moscow
Yeah, you
Arts.
see Gaev as that. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's foppish, but he's a billiard player too. He's a foppish billiard.
No, he's a
too.
Yeah. But that's an escape.
Everyone in the play has a soul, honestly.
What was that?
I said Gaev also has a soul. Then I'm like, oh, everyone in this play has a soul.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Tortured usually, but yeah, soul nonetheless.
But the contrast again is between Lopakin, who is the practical man, who's rising and accumulating things, and the Ranevskayas, who are living in a dreamland that looks backwards all the time. It's you can't look back. You can't live in the past because it's going, it's changing, it's disappearing.
They all have an aristocratic side, which is being forced to lose in this particular time, which is probably one of the most difficult things for them. You know, she doesn't like the smell of cigars. She doesn't like the smell of the restaurant and the table linen and talking to waiters. You know, it's like.
Yet she hires me as her footman. She hires Yasha, who smokes cigars, as her footman. So Yasha's probably only feeling is, well, maybe he can get her to be his mistress eventually or something. He's like,
I don't know about that.
And she gets a ruble or more every
She's
person.
Dependent on people taking care of her. You know, that's.
Yeah. And again, you get Chekhov's obsession with sounds.
Yeah.
The orchestrations, whether they're natural sounds or musical sounds, in the background always. And although I remember when they did the Three Sisters at Moscow Arts, he was in Yalta, didn't see the original production, and came down. And word came down to him when he was told how, it was wonderful. And they had real crickets on stage, and they had a real dog barking. And Chekhov said, but theater isn't, the art is not life. Art is a representation of life.
Yes.
So
and
he's always saying,
the last sound is the tree being knocked down.
That's right. That's right.
He was angry at Stanislavski for like treating this play as like super real. Like, in his letters, he was like, when I say they weep, I don't literally mean they weep. And he ruined my play.
Yeah.
and then shortly after he dies. So I think that Stanislavski's production killed him.
Gee, now I feel bad. Maybe I should.
Yeah. So all the times that I
weep in this play.
Yeah, you shouldn't have done that, Bennett.
All the times I was weeping, what else might I have done?
No.
In some ways, all it really is it's a change of focus. It's going internal, because the weeping is always a self-expression of sadness. So really, those are moments when you pull back in. I always love the story.
Remotely, I mean, at least the way I'm thinking of it, wouldn't be as interesting. I mean, what's fun about playing him, and I think watching him, is he's such a feckless soul. But yet, like a person, he actually feels a lot. It actually all hurts.
Oh, yeah.
Do anything.
Oh, they're all living in a sort of romantic dreamland. At least the nobility are from the past. The story that I love about Stanislavski was because Chekhov hadn't seen the Three Sisters, the Moscow Arts people, sometime after the run of the show, did a special performance for him when he'd come back to Moscow. And Stanislavski said, "How did you like my Trigorin?" And Chekhov just looked at him and said, "You should have worn check trousers." And Stanislavski was insulted by this. He said, what is he talking about? But with time, he began to realize if he'd created the character who, when he got up in the morning, put on check trousers, then he would have had Trigorin.
What trousers?
Checked
Checked trousers.
Checked.
Trousers with, squares on them.
Boxes and like two different colors, and they're like checkerboard.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And that was how Chekhov saw. But it's again a different thing about acting.
The seagull, not Three Sisters. Trigorin and the seagull.
Oh,
right?
sorry. Yes, it was.
Right.
That's right. It was the.
In other words, he's. Yes, you could see that. Right. He's down. He's on vacation right now. He might be wearing check trousers.
He's a fisherman.
Yeah, but it's also a very European approach to acting, where you work from the outside in rather than the inside out. The end product is the same, but how you get to the end product is different, which is why American acting and European and British acting is so different. Olivier always used to say, I look for a piece of costume. And when I've got that gives me the character.
Check trousers are like going yachting.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah,
It made me think of what's his name? The Southern writer. What's his?
Tennessee Williams?
Not Tennessee Williams. The one who was married to Zelda. Fitzgerald.
Fitzgerald.
Oh yeah.
Fitzgerald, kind of like those people.
Yeah.
If you get into check, you might be that way.
Speaking of use of sound, does any of you have Hulu?
Who?
Hulu.
No.
All right. Well, there's a movie you might be able to see anyway called The Assistant.
Oh, I saw that. I loved it.
Yes, and I think it was a wonderful piece of directing. But the use of sound in The Office, it's about a woman, it's based on the Harvey Weinstein type story. About a woman who works in the film industry in a day in her life when she's aware very much of the sexual harassment that's going on. But the use of sound in it, and didn't you love that? The voices off stage and the phones, and I just thought it was very well done. That's all.
You're talking about the De Niro movie where he plays.
No, The Assistant. It's a movie came out last year, at the beginning of last year, about a woman's. It's very well done, I thought.
Oh, I don't know that one. Right.
Yeah.
I know the film.
Angus, I want to.
A woman.
Yeah.
What was that called? Does anybody remember that name of that? He goes and works for a woman executive. He's like in his 60s, and she takes him on, and he has to do all the errands.
The intern.
The intern, right? That was funny.
Yeah.
Right. It was funny.
Angus, I want to ask: is that the same production you were talking about? The Seagull is where when the curtain comes up at the very beginning, Stanislavski, who was on stage, had his back to the audience because he was afraid of seeing the audience as the curtain came up, and then people like raved about that choice that he made.
Oh, I don't remember that story, but that could well be. That was the Moscow Arts was the second production, of course. The first one was the St. Petersburg, which is was actually done as a benefit. It was done as a benefit for a comic actress who was retiring, and the audience was expecting a comedy, and they laughed all the way through it. And Chekhov was so upset, he went out in the middle of winter in St. Petersburg and walked up and down, which triggered the tuberculosis that he had that finally killed him. Oh, a nice putcat.
Tibbs is in the other room because he's taking his time eating his dinner. So we have to keep them separate because otherwise she'll gobble it all up.
Yeah. I had two cats in the States that way. One of them would wolf it. The little one would come and take a little nibble and then back off and go and do something else until the big fat one had eaten her fill, and then the little one would sneak in and munch away.
Well, it's like I got to put the weight back on him and keep it off her.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great shame that Chekhov didn't manage to write any more. But then, of course, he was really more interested in
short stories, though, didn't he?
He was more interested in his short stories than he was in his plays.
Boy, were they depressing. I spent the summer in a tent, and I took Chekhov's short stories with me, and I was never so depressed in my life.
Oh, yeah. Well, again, with the last one, I was remembering one of the short stories is about this old woman whose husband is sick. She loads him into the back of a cart and drives him into the local town so that he can go to a doctor. And just as she gets there, he finally dies. And well, she just turns around and drives the cart back home. You know, it's this huge fatalism. Yeah.
Well, we also have his letters. He wrote
Yeah.
a lot to his what was his brother, especially when he was out in India or yeah. So there's a bit of writing, but yeah, not a lot of plays.
Well, after the first run of The Seagull, he was going to give up writing plays altogether because he was so disgusted with the reaction.
Tolstoy. It was Tolstoy who said it. He said it was a bad play.
Yeah, but the audience laughed at the first production in St. Petersburg because the audience wasn't expecting anything like that, and it was Nemirovich Danchenko who persuaded and worked hard to let Chekhov, let him do The Seagull as the first play of the Moscow Arts Theatre. And it was a huge success. They say at the end of because in those days they do what the Met does now. They would always take curtain calls at the end of each act. The end of the first act, the girl who does the big monologue from Trigorin's play, the audience howled at that in St. Petersburg, and Chekhov was appalled. But at the end of that first act in Moscow, there was dead silence, and the whole cast thought, "Oh God, we've blown it," sort of style. And then suddenly the place erupted into applause, and which is why it was such a success, and that's why on the Moscow Arts Theatre curtains there's a big seagull, because that was the making of the company.
Hey, Paul, do you remember I was in, I thought it was an evening of Chekhov short plays.
Yeah, we were in with Virginia.
Yeah, that was Chekhov short plays. Was it
The ones we did, those were hilarious.
No, that wasn't Chekhov. No, that was Neil Simon, a collection that he had adapted
from
the very funny plays, some really good
ones. The ones Paul and I and Ben did with, what's her name, a couple of months ago. Those were a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Those were.
That was Neil Simon's adaptation of Chekhov's plays.
That's right.
Well, The Good Doctor is the big Neil Simon adaptation.
That's the one. But those are taken from very sad, depressing short stories?
No, those were actually funny. They were fun. Some of his stuff was fun.
Well, you're mixing the fatalism of Chekhov with the humor of Neil Simon. There's one of them in there that Simon wrote himself.
The Good Doctor. Right.
The Good Doctor was the show. I mean, Michael Frayn did a very nice collection of Chekhov short stories.
A collection of books. The title's The Ward, and inside, it's all about people in an insane asylum, and it's very, very depressing.
Yeah. He was the doctor. Yeah. Tennessee Williams has an adaptation, The Notebook, which is a Seagull adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
The Notebook of Trigorin. Sorry, that's the full name of it. The Notebook of Trigorin is a Tennessee Williams adaptation. Yeah.
And the Michael Frayn production, there was a thing also called Orchards that when I was in was it Georgia or Illinois? They actually tried it out there. The company that was doing it was a New York company, and they came down to the drama department and workshopped with some of the students, where 6 or 7 different writers were all asked to take their favorite Chekhov short story and turn it into a play. I sat behind a couple of students at the intermission. One of the plays was done by David Mamet, and one of the students turned to the other one and said, "It all goes to show you shouldn't let David Mamet write anything longer than 10 minutes.
His Uncle Vanya, though, wasn't bad. Did you read his Uncle Vanya? He did an adaptation of Uncle Vanya.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's awful.
Really?
Sorry,
Oh.
I don't agree with you.
Okay.
Because he took all the atmospherics out.
All right. Yeah.
All the use
Gotcha.
of sound went. The workman
Gotcha.
going round and tapping the bottom
So
of
he
the
didn't really
dasher
appreciate
to
it,
drive
yeah.
the cat. First time I saw it, I saw an American cast do it, and I thought, oh, this is not bad, because it worked very well for the cast who were doing it, but it was easy to follow and easy to listen to, and he painted them extremely well, but it's not Uncle Vanya, if you know what I
He
mean.
got the acting, but not the concept.
Yeah.
Which is usually the other way around. Sometimes
Well,
the directors only get the concept and they don't get the
Yeah.
acting. I agree with you. Yeah.
But in the same way
Okay.
that whenever I do Shakespeare, and the reason I love instant Shakespeare is because I'm a sort of traditionalist. I will always go for first folio. Whenever I do a production, doesn't matter what versions they're actually using of the play, I always have my first folio copy in my back pocket. And if I don't get something, I'll whip that out and find out what the first folio actually said. And so much of what Chekhov was doing, he had all these themes that he used all the way through. And he would send messages and have little in-jokes relating to, in one of the plays, I don't remember which one it was, some woman had been badgering him to have an affair with her. And she sent him a copy of her book of poems with a reference to the page number and the line number in it, some line. And actually in that particular play that Chekhov wrote, he actually had a mention of the same sort of thing. He referred to one of his books and referred to a page where he responded to it. Don't think it was.
He's going through the pages in that one a lot.
Yeah.
There is something like that in the Seagull, I recall.
Yeah.
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah.
Yeah, he's going over the numbers of his pages. And
yeah, well, that's what that's about. That's him responding.
But I thought maybe that's where he snuck it in.
Yeah,
you read Wild Honey by Chekhov? Some people don't even know that he wrote a play called Wild Honey.
Well, that's an adaptation by Michael Frayn.
Yeah.
I saw it on Broadway with Ian McKellen, and I think it's brilliant. It's Platinoff.
I was going to say,
was this huge, long play that then Michael Frayn, who also speaks Russian, and he's not like David Mamet, he's done actual translations of Chekhov.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he really put it together, and I think it's a delightful show.
Mm.
I used to we worked on it in scene class maybe with Ann Jackson, or I remember we worked on one of those crazy, and it's such a good play. There's a lot.
Michael Frayn's done a number of adaptations. Yeah, and his adaptations are really good and thoughtful.
Have you seen a PDF of Platonov? There's a lot of good scenes in there, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I've actually had a copy of it. I haven't looked at it in a while. I mean, from what I understand of it, it was like just really, really long.
I don't know. I just remember
never sort of done it in production. I think maybe Ivanov may have been like sort of more. I mean, there's similarities to that. So that might have been like, he sort of did Platonov first, then he did Ivanov, which was similar because he never went back to Platonov. And
I had the copy that's called Wild Honey, and it's not terribly long, if I remember.
It's a very good adaptation.
Yeah. And the Mikhalkov unfinished piece for player piano is lifted straight out of one of those early pieces.
Wild Honey, because it's like really intense, you know. There's like the relationships are more intense than they are in a lot of the relationships in most of his plays kind of hit and miss. In Platonov and Wild Honey, the relationships are really very between men and women are very, very direct. You know?
Except that's probably more Frayn than it is Chekhov. Because that's probably more Michael Frayn than it is Chekhov, because the originals The original was never staged, and there's a very good reason why it wasn't staged. It was long and it was rambling.
See, not
And-
the copy I have isn't rambling at all. It's like very intense and very,
Yeah, that's because it's Michael Frayn's adaptation.
Yeah, well, I'll settle for that.
Oh yeah.
So now
You're right.
I'm told, by the way, that everything before 1925 is now public domain.
Well, everything clearly before 1923, everything is public domain. Anything that was published before 1923 is public domain. However, like things, and there's a lot of stuff, I mean, since then that is also in public domain, and there are various sorts of things that have like weren't copyrighted the correct way that are in public domain that are that are sort of confusing. But yeah, definitely anything before 1923. And then there are other, it's not after that, it's a less sort of clear-cut issue.
I looked at a list of plays.
The Matchmaker, and I found some theater did a script, and I got a few pages, but it's too hard to read as, a strip, like Puck Players. It's too
PDF?
hard. It's like, if one page you can hardly see, the other page you can see. I got the script offline, but it's really a good play for, a lot of people. There's a lot of characters in it.
But and some of Shaw's
Wilder, it's hard to get Thornton Wilder, and he's before 1925. Was he running after? When was he, Thornton Wilder?
Sure.
Yeah, and some of Shaw's plays, he had early versions of them.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you do Arms and the Man, he has an early version, which was the first one that was staged in London with at the Avenue Theatre, and that version's out of copyright. But people don't. He rushed to finish that one, but then he rewrote it and tidied it up, and that was in Plays Pleasant, I think, and that one's still in copyrights. Theatre I used to work at in Norwich, the Madder Market, the guy who founded it was a great friend of Shaw's, and Shaw actually gave him and the Madder Market the rights to do his shows without having to pay any royalties whatsoever. So every year the Madder Market used to do a Shaw play because it didn't cost them anything.
Yeah, there was a publisher for Players Press. Oh God, I can't remember his name, but the guy who ran the company told me that his mother had been an actress, and that Shaw had liked her and had given her some copies of the plays, and so it's like, these are yours, you can have them, and so he published those plays because his mother had been granted the rights to them by Shaw. But yeah, actually the Matchmaker was written in the 50s, so that's not public domain.
Yeah, that's why I can't find it, right? That's a great play to do. It's a fun play.
Yeah, it would be. But there is so much stuff. I mean, there's Chekhov, and I mean, this translation isn't the greatest. I mean, the one that Diane Lane was in was it was an adaptation because it wasn't somebody who read Russian who wrote it, but it was the guy who'd done The Humans.
Yeah.
First professional production I was in was rotating rep of The Matchmaker, Peer Gynt, and Oedipus the King. It was pronounced Oedipus. Anthony Burgess wrote it, and the correction. I'm sorry?
I've always pronounced it Oedipus.
Yeah,
I didn't know that until we did it, and he came to see it. He liked it a lot. We did the world premiere, and Word Baker directed The Matchmaker. And the poor actress who played Dolly, who also played Oza and Peer Gynt, Dee Victor, she started drinking heavily because it was really his fault. He spent so much time on concept and making it look good, and didn't spend enough time in just rehearsing scenes with them. So she didn't know her words, but by first rehearsal, by first preview,
she didn't know her words. And this was my first professional job. This was a professional equity theater. They turned it into an invited dress. And I just remember being on stage with her. I was playing one of the waiters. She turned and she says, this is his name, Mr. Kemper? Kemper, there's something I have to say to you. And she turned to the audience and she said, and I don't know what it is. And the audience roared, of course. And then she went up again. They had a prompter. She says, line, please. And the woman says the line. She says, I can't hear you, dear. And he says, what? And she got laughs and stuff. But then she was backstage crying, her eyes out. I said, boy, man, alcohol.
Yep.
Really do it to you. You know?
We did Illinois when we were in at the University of Illinois. They did The Seagull, and my wife was in it with the drama department. But they made the mistake of having a woman who was Russian advise them on pronunciations. So she insisted they always said Moskva, and she was doing authentic Russian pronunciation. So the line would come, we're going to Moskva, and the whole audience is going, what did she say? What, you know, and they lost them for the next sort of 4 lines until they started paying attention to the dialogue again. Learn the lesson. Do not distract and disturb your audience. You'll lose them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's why Uta Hagen said when the people came in with their wet heads to be method, and they came in from the rain and they were all sopping wet, she said all you could look at was the floor.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
you
know they just put wet on them.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, give us a break. You know, that's the part of the theater that you love, is to see them create that reality without it all being there.
Yeah.
So you believe it. You know, that's great acting.
Theater, I really do. I miss performing on a stage.
Oh God, yes.
Yes, I really do. I miss, rehearsals and stuff like. I mean, I even miss sometimes. I haven't done it in a couple of years. I used to even not mind scene class. I mean, at least you're with people live, right?
That's right.
To be with people live. Right.
So Saturday we've got Titus.
Titus and
I'm I get vaccinations Saturday.
Oh, good luck.
Unless they cancel it again, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Hopefully I get a vaccination. That would be nice. I would feel better.
Well, you'll get a little reaction if it's the Pfizer one, certainly.
I think it's Pfizer. I think
both my wife and I got that. I had a little bit of reaction against it, but very minor. But arm hurt.
Oh, okay.
That's all. And Ben, did you get aches and stuff?
Not really. My wife did. My wife.
What about Ben? Ben had his, and he got. How were yours?
I only had the first one, and all that happened was my arm ached for a few days. It's the second shot that's supposed to give the symptoms.
Yeah.
I'm getting that one a week from today, so we'll see.
What do you have to do? What do they say? They say that are you protected with the first one or what?
You are, but it takes about 3 weeks.
So in other words, you really still have to be. Well, I'm always careful anyhow wearing a mask. So in other words, you have to stay the same way even with the shot as without the shot.
Oh yeah,
know that you've had the shots. Yeah,
it's like any immunization. It takes about 3 weeks for the antibodies to build up to a decent level.
And after that, are you allowed to be without a mask?
I'm not sure I would be.
They don't really know if you're from infecting other people.
That's right.
The mask is to protect other people. The 95% protection is just for you catching it. So
yeah.
The mask.
So the vaccine is protecting you more than the other people. It's to help protect you.
I'm sorry. What?
So the vaccine is to help protect you more than the other people.
Vaccine protects you. The mask is really to protect other people.
That's.
I mean, they don't know if the vaccine stops you from transmitting it. They don't know that yet.
Right. Which is why I have no problem with
it. It's a possibility that, though you're vaccinated, you could have something that you carried in you. They don't really know.
Oh yeah, no, you can still catch it, and the problem is that what the vaccine does is stops you getting seriously ill, because it keeps the viral load in your body down. So that hopefully most of the side effects are getting, I mean, the worrying one is long COVID. The number of instances of people who have developed really nasty memory loss, or inability to remember things, and aches and pains for months and months after, befuddled, and hellacious levels of fatigue. Yeah, yeah.
Now, will they still show up as COVID positive?
Most of them won't. What they would, well, they won't necessarily have levels of the virus that can be detected, but they will have antibodies.
Right.
Anyway, I'm going to sign off.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Jackie.